Ruto is gone. This one, he's done. He can pretend all he wants. I mean, he goes to serve chapati and he has this brainwave that he can make a machine of 1 million chapatis a day. I mean, really. And just because he's serving. We have a very big crisis here of single mothers.
Yeah.
And there are 75% of the people who are in prison are from single mothers. By 2030, 60% of the workforce in the world will be Africans. Europe is fading because they don't have children. They don't have a future. Africa is the next giant just because of the children. That's why the revolution is important. It has to happen. A very interesting thing happened in 2014 here. And this is where I fell out with the group. 28 years I've been married.
28 years?
Yes.
How'd you do it?
Wow.
How do you do it?
Convince men like...
I can barely do 5.
You can't even get past an engagement.
Yeah.
So these 28 years, you've been wholly there. No picking outside, no let's see other people, let's have an
Sasa
open...
now, what are you asking? Who is a Kenyan today? We are a product of what?
Slavery, colonialism.
No, but what are we? we don't even have clothing like Nigerians.
Yeah.
They have their own clothing. When I grew up, they have their identity, and it's very admirable.
Yeah.
We don't have it. Ugandans don't have it.
No, but...
No, I'm telling you, a lot of what you're seeing in Nairobi over the last 10 years is laundry of looters.
Yeah.
Okay? Who've been in government position. There was a time, even in this country, and I know in Uganda, and even Nigeria, the most marketable person was the teacher.
Really?
Yeah, Ruto. You know, traditionally, most people hate kingmakers.
Hey.
In fact, if you look at history, kingmakers are killed. You see, I started a journey, and I believe in finishing journeys.
Yes.
I started a journey in 2022 to go for the presidency. I cannot stop.
All right.
I have to be on the ballot.
What's up?
I would like to go peacefully like my father did. He felt he lived God's purpose. I'm now 62. You look at how much more time do I have? When Kibaki got to power, I found a contract for printing of the Kenyan note.
Okay.
That was being printed by a company called Delaro. What I saw of my friend Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto I got to meet in 2006.
Okay.
I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, I think he has about 5 billion shillings deposit in a bank at that time.
Wow.
4 truths?
No lie.
Three truths.
Coffee girls look nice in all outfits.
There is top tier food.
Kenya's great.
No lie.
No lie.
So, we actually have a super special guest today. We have a mogul, a change maker, an aspiring presidential candidate, Mr. Jimi Wanjigi.
Thank you so much, my good brother.
Welcome,
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Thank you.
So, first things first, welcome here. This is the Three Truths, No Lie podcast. We discuss a lot of things here. We like to keep it light. We like to keep it fun. But also, since it's you, we'll go a little bit in depth.
Okay.
With what we're going to discuss, right?
I'm looking forward to this.
But I'm sure you've already heard all of us saying our truths. So when we begin, we usually say one of our truths, right? So everyone has said their truth, and I think it's only right if you also say your truth.
I love God.
Ooh, okay.
No lie.
Awesome. So I think we're just going to jump straight into it. And there's something which, for me, I've been thinking about for a very long time. And I would want someone who's been there, who's, he's had pretty much the life that a lot of us young men are looking for, right? And obviously it stemmed from someone, right? You're a great man, but I'm pretty sure that there was a great man that you learned from, right? So that brings me to your father.
Yes.
Mr. Wanjigi was a great guy. He's done a lot for Kenya.
Yes.
Something which I learned recently is that he was pretty much involved in the free primary schooling.
Yes.
That's something that, it stems from a long time all the way till now.
Yes.
But I would like to know, how was he as a father to you? How did you, when you were growing up as a young boy, little Jimmy, how was it? Were you growing up in terms of, the way we see him on not social media, but on, television and all these other platforms that we got to see him? Or was he hands-on? Was he taking you through, the things that he's doing, the meetings that he's going? Were you sitting around, powerful men and wondering, what am I doing here? How was that learning process for you growing up?
That's a fantastic question. Let me say first and foremost, I'm glad to be here.
Welcome.
And I'm very
Thank you for
honored
honoring
for
our
this invite. My father was an extremely loving human being. We were very close, 3 siblings, and we were very, very close. He was hands-on. He himself grew up and was brought up by a single father. His mother left at the advent of the Mau Mau revolution. My grandfather was heavily involved in that revolution. And my grandmother could not take some of the things that were happening around the home. Interestingly, she left and ended up being detained. In fact, she was a cell away from Mamangina. Right? Also being put in as part of Mau Mau supporters. Mm-hmm. So literally, my grandfather brought up my father and his 2 sisters. So as you know, those days, if he had to work, it was the elder brother that looked after the 2 sisters. So he was very hands-on himself on his own sisters and was with us. He loved us greatly. He brought us through nearly every single journey. And he felt it more so because he went for his master's and his education in Stanford and University of Connecticut, both his master after Makerere. And my sister was born in 1958. 1959. I was born in 1962. And the difference is that at that stage, he was not in the country. So he came back to find me, having been born, because he left just before, having been born and been away from him for years. So we especially had a very close relationship. He felt like I had been his abandoned son that he had not been around in the early stage, 2 years, 3 years. So we were very, very tight. He spent a lot of time taking me around everywhere. He encouraged me to read books. He was a real scholar. He took me to meetings. He brought me into his first political campaigns. He took me around and I was given a lot of logistics work. Even those days, you see, you guys have posters on phones now. We had to put posters around the city. Mm-hmm. Okay. He taught me biashara, good business, what it takes to sell a shoe, to sell a product, and the margins that you make. So yes, he didn't leave me out of any room.
Yeah.
And his wisdom, especially in the later years, have been invaluable to us. He died last year at the age of 93. Wow. 66 years of marriage, actually.
That's beautiful.
I can tell you that I never saw my parents fight. Never saw them argue. And in fact, in later years, when we were all adults with our own homes, they used to call us in when they had a dispute, and it was hilarious to us. Okay, it's about this. We used to find it hilarious, but we never saw them argue or fight. So we had a very peaceful home, and we have cherished familyhood. My parents were always present, always present. I can tell you that always.
That's
through everything.
Yeah,
through everything, through girlfriends, boyfriends, through everything.
So you never hid anything from your parents?
No. I mean, they encouraged me to learn how to drink when I was 14 years old. Just so that you don't drink out there. Bring your friends here.
These are African parents.
Yeah.
You got the long end of the stick.
And I was a radical kid.
Yeah.
I was really radical. Okay. I used to steal cars Fortunately, we were well off. So I used to steal cars.
Yeah.
So by the age of 16, 17, he literally bought me a car and said, "Don't steal my cars anymore.
Yeah.
You have fuel. Yeah. You don't have a license. If you're caught by police, it's up to you."
Yes.
Good.
Right?
This man
And
should
that
look
was
at
reverse psychology. So that now the desire goes.
So the cars that you were stealing were his?
His,
or-
yes,
Oh,
his.
Okay.
His, yeah. Sorry.
Just for
Let me
clarity.
qualify that. No, you hotwire the car, take the keys, but you don't have permission. And I was anxious to go out on adventure.
Yeah.
And so he was very present.
Yeah.
So did the buying you a car help? Okay, now there's more for us.
I hope
It's
my mother
reverse
is here.
psychology. It's like when you get something that you're craving for, then it's not a big deal anymore.
Yes.
You look for the next big thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
So now you started stealing private jets.
Yeah. You see, now that's not an obstacle.
Okay.
You see, it's not an obstacle. Yeah. You move on. There's a great saying by Marcus Aurelius that says the impediment to life is the action. In other words, obstacles create your intent. What you can't do, what you can't get, becomes the way that you lead in life.
Yeah.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
It becomes that's what I want.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
So
what I
you
want to
work towards
overcome.
it, yeah.
That's what I need to remove, and that is true psychologically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that based on how you grew up and how he parented you, has that translated now into how you parent your children?
Absolutely. I'm best friends with my kids. All my siblings are married. I can tell you they are all very close to their children.
Yeah.
I think we only have one sibling that still has children in school, going to university this year. My daughter's graduating this year. All the others have graduated, all my nephews and nieces. We are all very close. Even now, we've bonded even stronger, even after our father has passed.
So
it's in us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's truly in us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you also don't fight with your partner?
No, what for? If we have our fights,
how'd
it's
you
our
solve-
private. It's our private thing. It's not for the kids to see.
Okay.
So
Of
they've
course,
never seen
in
you.
life. No, life is of course it's got its challenges. You're two different human beings. You can't. You fight. It's a question of what you show your kids.
Yeah.
Because showing your kids is part of confidence building. You imagine when you're young, your parents are your statues.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're your pillars to life. They're everything. You don't want to feel that they are breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe in when we are confident. Confidence building comes from the home.
Yes.
Right.
Charity begins at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear you, Jimmy, but let me ask you something. There's also a perspective that I think hiding some of the conflict back at home from your kids has some level of kuharibu. Not kuharibu hiyo ya mtaani na madrela lala. Case and point. It's one thing to grow up your entire life thinking that it was all fun and games. Just to be adult and you're like, oh my God.
Is this how actually a man behaves?
And then now you find out kuna wase fulani sasa watakangi ndoa because at home waliuziwanga hii facade fulani that this is beautiful, families like this, but then later on in life they come and find out I was living in hell. It's just that the temperatures were a bit low. You don't feel like kuonyesha that this is actually what marriage looks like actually helps them to understand that bedhu kusibash, when you get into your marriage, bedhu things can go left.
Do you actually think kids have got the capacity to absorb that?
See, some kids are 3 years.
No, even high school. Do you think they have the capacity to absorb?
I don't think so.
You find even many people who end up partying in marriage.
Yeah.
They agree that they are going to wait until their kids are about 18 and then agree to separate.
Yeah.
Because they believe they can take it at that point.
Yeah.
So what is the tolerance? What does a kid who's a teenager want?
Good vibes to maisha tamu and a happy family.
Correct. So it's imperative that you focus on the child, not yourselves.
So you hold my pain for 15 years, 18 years, and then now you bring me into the real world.
Yes.
Let
me tell you, and I'll go very basic.
Yeah.
Before I got married, I had my mother's mother, my mother's father, my grandfather, had a love for me. Out of all his nephews, he had 9 children. And you can imagine how many grandchildren he had. So out of all his grandchildren, he loved Jimmy
Yeah.
greatly. And I used to go and see him in Moranga every so often. And I'll take him these fat sheep that you should shake. He used to see the fat and the man would be very happy. So he used to tell me and demand of me marriage before he dies. I was then single. And he used to tell me, Jimmy, you got to get married. When are you getting married? So one time he called me and he said he has to lecture me. And he asked me, what is so hard with getting married? Why can't you find a girl?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, it's not the way it used to be. We all complain the same way, by the way, just like you are today.
Yeah.
No, girls are not the same, and girls say guys are not the
It's
same.
only getting worse.
Yeah. So he told me, I don't know what's wrong with you. There are 3 basic things,
Yeah.
right? He says, first, marry a pretty girl because you want attractive children. It's
Real
easier
talk.
for doors to open for them. Okay?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Number 2, marry a clever girl.
Hey, you see why I got pretty lawyers?
Marry a
Frankie.
clever girl because you don't want to bring up dumb children.
Yeah.
It makes life harder for them to absorb,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And number 3, don't marry anybody that has a family generation of, let's say, madness or a terminal sickness, because it will carry on to your
Children.
Yes.
So the essence of marriage is what? Children. The generations to come.
Wow.
You don't destroy them because your life is destroyed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is
Okay.
You
true.
do everything you can, everything you
ensure.
can to ensure, because that is tomorrow. You can't be here in this world living for yourself. That does not happen. That's not why God put you here.
Yes.
And that comes with happiness.
Yes.
So
If
you'd
you
say-
have made a choice of unhappiness, it's your choice.
Kweli?
Does it mean that
Happiness
you,
is a choice.
Yes. Does it mean that you now make your children unhappy?
Because you made a bad
Is
decision.
that your responsibility?
Kweli,
No.
it's easy.
So you'd say have as many kids as possible.
Absolutely.
Don't.
Oh,
Don't encourage
on that,
Frankie.
I rest my case.
Please
Yeah,
don't.
on that one,
Do not
Frankie,
take-
let me tell you, on that we are together, my brother.
Why? Why
No,
though?
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
why though? Why
Oh,
though?
there should
Why?
be no limitations.
Don't encourage
No
Frankie. Tell him to get
limitations.
married fast.
No.
No,
Why?
what is the problem? What's wrong with having many children?
There's
No,
nothing.
no. The way you had it, you get married fast, then have children.
Many children.
Yes,
Many.
after the marriage.
Let me
not
tell
before.
you, let me tell you, because all of you are so switched on economically now to the world.
Yes.
Numbers is power. I'll just be very basic. China is today going to overtake the US as the greatest economic giant because of numbers.
Really?
Yes, there are 1.5 billion people.
Yet they limit the children is supposed to
No,
go back
yes,
to-
but now they are changing that. They had grown too fast, right? And they couldn't handle the country economically. But when they reach economies of scale, now they're encouraging people to have more than 2 children even.
So
Right?
how long
Because
was
they
the
want to
law?
conquer, no, they want to conquer the world even more.
Perfect.
But they had to slow it down because they are not reached economies of scale.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you today the one children policy has brought out brats. They don't
Okay.
like what it has ethically done to that generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more children. Look at India, 1.4 billion people.
But the economy is not well.
It is very good.
India's economy.
It is going to overtake the UK.
Is it?
Really?
Yes, by 2030, it'll have overtaken the UK.
But Uganda has many numbers.
So you can imagine. No, you have 42 million.
Did you know that there's a lot of
No, you have 42 million. It's nothing. It's 1.4. Africa has 1.3. So we have potential as Africa.
Yeah.
But you see, Jimmy,
And now, why do you want to reduce it? Europe is fading because they don't have children. They don't have a future. Africa is the next giant just because of the children. By 2030, 60% of the workforce in the world will be Africans. This Gen Z generation.
Yes.
Yes. 60%. That's workforce. That is market. Why do you want to stop it? Because Mzungu told you have 2 children.
not really like that. What
Before
if
we
you
used to have 10.
Yeah, but then what
And
if
they
all
used
the
to
10 of
live
them
even
are
when they
fools?
didn't have modern medicine.
Point.
Oh, what if all the
Yeah.
10 of them are fools?
But the chances
No.
of all 10 being fools is very
No,
low.
it's
a
less
2
than
out of
2
10
being
is
fools.
cool.
No, but I feel like
there's
this
a place for
conversation.
anybody in the world. Don't try and be. Let me tell you, there are people who are good at. They may not be good at the things that you know, but they
Yeah.
are good at something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't even a cockroach, by the way, has a purpose.
Yes.
Yes, it has a purpose.
Which is-
Everything has a purpose. I remember a good lecturer at the University of Nairobi telling me he used to tell his students who were in law,
Yeah.
the ones who were at the bottom,
Lawyers.
lawyers, find another profession. You're useless. Just useless. You know, why do you bother in this? Then they said, you remember telling two girls who are, one is even a very prominent judge today, another who is a prominent lawyer. And he told them, you are just useless. You should leave this class and go and do something else. And they said, no, we're not useless. Come and watch us at the school musical, the university musical on Friday.
Yeah.
And he went, he said he has never had such good voices in the world. And he said, I will never use the word useless on anybody. So don't use the word fool.
Yes.
Fool in relation to what? According to your measurement. But
Yes.
they may have a purpose.
Yeah, a different metrics of not being
A few years ago, I went to a funeral of a person who all he did was pull out molds. You know, molds from the ground.
Yeah,
And all they would talk about is how he was an expert of molds, but nothing else. Okay? So he has an expertise.
Yes. Let's go for something.
He has an expertise. He's not foolish.
You know, but
Same even. And no, I wouldn't want my job.
No, he may have been D in school.
Yeah.
But he can you pull out a mold?
What am I
Do you
doing?
know the
What
art?
am I doing
No,
around
excuse-
molds?
No.
What am I doing around molds?
But you see, molds
Yeah.
eat crops.
Yeah, from the
They eat
chimney.
crops, correct.
Yeah.
So can you pull out a mold?
Next question.
no, but like I also think
He's not
that
a complete
is,
fool.
yeah.
I just feel like that's very because me in my country there are people who actually can wake up, sit the whole day, do nothing. I feel like Kenyans are more hardworking. People are so passionate, so you can easily find what to do. But
So why are Ugandans like that? In your analysis,
why are you guys like that? I honestly
you don't know.
I don't
Because you
know.
have food.
Yeah,
You're hungry. Bananas just fall.
Bananas.
So is that
You
the
just
problem?
go.
Matoke is our problem.
Yes. What is your motivation?
You have food as well.
No.
You have corn
Many people
that-
here have got, but we have to grow it. Yours, you just sit. It rains. Banana is there. Banana tree. Matoke.
That is true.
Chakula iko.
So that you think that
What is the motivation? It's something we say about the people who grow around the lake in Kenya. That they have similar attitudes to that.
To Uganda.
Because when they're hungry, they just go and fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick out 2 fish. When you go into the market, you get some unga.
So the
The
solution
other one you fry and everybody eats.
the solution is to cut down the matoke.
Find motivation.
Yeah.
Motivation. It's got to be
Just
beyond
be
food.
hungry for a minute.
It's correct. Here we know hunger.
Yes.
And many parts of Africa know hunger.
Yeah, but our country we don't know.
You don't know hunger.
We don't know.
Yeah, that's why.
So I wanted to find out, how do you separate yourself in terms of course, you're a busy man. You have so many things that you have to do. You have family, you have work, you have your businessman on top of that, politics on top of that. How do you separate yourself? And then also find time for you. How do you do that?
What is time for you? This is a very...
I feel like
I find it a very interesting question.
Like going to for me, time for me means going to the spa, doing my nails, doing my hair, going shopping. That's time for me. It consists of watching the movies I like, the shows I like. That doesn't consist pleasing any other person outside me.
but yourself.
But
For
yourself.
me, I enjoy working out. I enjoy I have project cars which I do. So that's also, something that I do for me.
Kalala.
But you don't have a family, Frank.
I do.
You're married.
No,
Oh.
but I have 4 children.
Do they live with you?
No.
Okay. That's,
Because you
I-
do
I-
the baby mama.
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Yes.
So you stay alone.
I stay by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Different.
And then I also have
So you have a lot of time for you. No, you're in the house by yourself.
no, but I'm never in the house because I'm always up and down. So if it's like work that I'm doing, I own a gym. Again,
So when you go home, what do you do? Do you watch movies? Do you read books? That's time for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have that luxury.
And
Not
you,
often, actually. I actually don't have that much time that I thought I would before I even started. I thought, being an entrepreneur means, you're going to get time for yourself. You don't.
What happens is that time for you is, I think, the passage of time and goals.
Yes.
So maybe when I was your age, I thought or felt the same things.
Yes.
But as you progress in life, age-wise, purpose keeps being defined,
Okay.
right?
yeah.
So today, if you're telling me that time away just to think about me means time for me, then I get miserable. Yeah, because how much
miss
life
it,
do I have left?
Right.
And is that why I came here to this world? I don't think God put me here for myself. I don't
Mr.
think in
Jimi.
any manner or form. Yeah. I don't think I was brought here for myself.
No.
I don't even think I was just brought here for my family. It's a big part, but not just that. So you've got to start living God's purpose for you,
Yeah.
right? For his glory. And what does that mean? It can't be you. You had a purpose when he put you here.
Oh my God.
So you must fulfill that purpose.
Mr. Jimmy, do you have a son? Because wow.
You must fulfill that purpose. So at my age, I'm now 62. You look at how much more time do I have? Because I would like to go peacefully like my father did. He felt he lived God's purpose. So how much time do I have? I can't think about me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you don't even have time to decompress?
I don't know what that means to
He
me.
was raised so well.
I don't know what that
honestly.
means.
Jimmy, when you speak, you come off of somebody who has had time to actually hang out with themselves and understand who they are.
I've been through that. Yes.
Yeah.
Actualization. Yes.
So,
Yes.
what time? If you're always doing the purpose all the time, like you need wait. Let's go again.
Yeah.
I'm not saying just an actual breath. Like relax to tulia kidogo. Maybe today kubali 20 minutes. Relax to, you know. Because you see, ukiniambia story how much time left you have. Baba, I'm just a baby. Me, probably a cool 50,
Baby.
60 years. I'm a young child. Well, you see, so I cannot also keep living my life in a pa. It's not about me. Line of thought when mi bado najaribu kujielewa, nataka nini, nafaa kuwa nafanya nini.
Different stages.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, it's not an effort. It's not the effort you're talking about.
Okay.
It's just normal
It's
life.
happening.
It's normal.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Jimmy, I was also asking about the drinking. Are you still drinking?
No, I stopped drinking at 25
Why did you stop drinking?
just to change my lifestyle. I stopped drinking and red meat because here's nyama choma and booze.
But
Both
25
are
is so.
25.
I am
Yeah,
25
25.
right now, but I can't.
Both are 25.
I can't.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's actually to change a lifestyle because you know what that lifestyle is.
Yeah.
And I needed to break away and start looking at the world different. And it did help because now you start associating with the older people. You know, not your same compadres because you don't fit in. You're not clubbable anymore.
unabo.
Yeah.
Unabo.
So,
So I learned a lot more,
yeah.
much faster than my own contemporaries.
So when you
A
were
lot.
drinking, the gist is there. When you used to drink, did you have any escapades? As a very famous child, obviously, growing up, did you have any escapades?
Which young person did not have it?
You don't want to share with us.
Plenty of them.
She needs details.
I remember it was 1984. And I was like,
I met this girl, I had this Ferrari, and this girl said no.
There's nothing that we did not go through that you can imagine. I
Yeah.
can assure you.
Just because
I can
there were
assure
less
you.
cameras there.
There were less cameras. The internet was not there.
Oh, yes.
So let me not toboa too much. But
Because by the
we were
time-
naughty. We were naughty kids.
Yes. By the time
we were
you
definitely
stop
naughty
at
kids.
25.
Have no doubt about it. We were naughty kids. You know, by the time I stopped, for a period of something like 4 to 5 years, we had what were called Monday prayers. Okay? So after a weekend of drinking heavily, we all had to consume ourselves. We were about 15, 16 of us. And we'd go to Sagret. Okay? So we would go to work in the morning, afternoon, 6 o'clock, Monday prayers at Sagret, where it was bottles on the table, right? And nobody would leave by 11. And that was like, it had to be a ritual.
This is for
Okay,
rich
no
kids,
matter-
right? Rich
Sorry?
kids, rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether you call us rich kids.
Why? Because how are you not a rich kid? You steal your father's car and just... That is
Okay,
rich kid.
listen. We grew up, I let me tell you, I grew up privileged, that I accept.
Yeah.
Thank
My
you.
father worked hard for giving us a good life.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, most baby boomers, the advent of independence did. It's not like these days. And if they didn't, their parents came to work. They had jobs. They had opportunity. You had interest rates the dollar was at 7 shillings. Okay?
7 shillings.
Yes.
1, 2, 3 shillings.
A shilling, 1 shilling is $7.
Kenyan shilling was powerful.
You had interest rates of 5%, 4%, 3%. You'd get a loan.
125.
You'd get a loan like if it's just that if you didn't work, then you were poor. You had opportunity. A loan was at 4% interest rate. And most banks, in fact, in the 60s, they still had the division between the Mzungu, the African, and the Indian. Do you know that? You go to a bank as an African, you couldn't get more than 10,000 shillings loan. An Indian, 100,000 to 150, and a Mzungu was limitless. All right, even in independent Kenya, and that was across the colonies, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. So we were third-class citizens. Right, and even in that, you could do a lot with that 10,000 shillings. You'd have a shop. You could buy a farm.
Yeah.
The opportunities were there.
Yeah.
All right.
So
generally, if you were not an entrepreneur parent in those days, you were definitely had a good job. So being privileged, yes, we were privileged. We went to the best schools. We had the best of life. I can never say I costed anything. I never costed food. Nothing. Right? I had the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the best school. I think we went to St. Mary's. We were there with Uhuru Kenyatta from primary school. And I was in class with his brother, Mo, from primary school. It was the school of the privilege one hand, but also the leadership of the country. The children's, the leadership.
They have to be protected.
Yeah.
So you guys were in one clique or?
The
squad.
The squad.
Yeah, we were in one clique.
So
from primary to high school.
Bad boys.
Yeah, we were bad boys. We were bad boys, by the way.
Was there a situation that you were ever in that you found yourself, you got out of, and you were like, I don't think I would have gotten out of this if I wasn't this privileged?
Well, let me say this. A traffic policeman was never an issue. We didn't grow up believing that the police was an issue.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
But according to the Kenyan,
that's a different.
That's different.
That we were arrested, we will be arrested.
Yeah.
That was like, is that possible really?
Stories are
and we'll stay inside the cell. No, not possible.
I have
not possible.
I have a burning question because
have you seen the door? And not these beautiful ones, the real thing.
No. We never imagined such things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That we'd be caught in a bar or drinking after hours or something, and we'd be put in a Black Maria.
Mariam.
And Mariam. Is it called Mariam?
Yeah.
And being incarcerated. No. It's not possible.
let's make money.
We'll go to the police station and they'll see our name. You better get him out. Because now the bosses will call, they'll get in problems. Yeah, we never thought such. We never even thought. We actually thought if we give our name, they would leave us.
Yeah. Mr. Jimmy, I have a question. According to the few days I've been here and the questions I've had with Kalala, I've noticed Kenyan women are quite aggressive when they like men. No, not aggressive, but like Kenyan women are more confident than the Kenyan men. So growing up as yes. Yes, they are more, they approach, their gents, they be like, oh yeah, let's go, let's drink, let's do this. According to the questions I've had and according to, what I've seen as well. So did you experience any of that growing up? Did it, did so much attention from the ladies? Because they're not shy to come and say, hey, you look good, I want to sit next to you. So did you get that much attention?
No, it was very different in our days. In our days, first and foremost, understand we didn't have all this communication.
Yeah.
So it was always the guys that initiated courting. Always.
It's still like that in Uganda.
And we want to imagine that we had to do so with the letter writing.
Yeah.
Old school.
Old school. But you see, on 2 pages, you had to convince a young lady that you're interesting enough for her to reply to you. Right?
Yeah.
So you had to have the language, dictum, you had to make her think and feel at the same time and want to respond to you. Right? And one of the biggest things that we used to struggle to get was cologne. We had import restrictions those days. And we wanted to dab cologne on the letters so that you smell us.
Because what's the proximity?
Right?
Yeah.
And for those that did not know how to write,
Yeah.
you always look for the best writer.
Hey.
My father, by the way, was a big writer.
Hey.
For those who wanted to quote during his days. He really had the gift
nice
of
handwriting.
and he had good handwriting and language. You had to
Yes.
quote with your words.
Yeah.
I fortunately had that gift too.
Oh.
Okay, so unfortunately, I have that gift too.
we can see it.
Yeah. So we grew up at a different time. The aggression of women, even in parties, was not. We would go into a parties and the girls would be one corner and the guys would be this corner, and we had to go and approach the girls. They never came to us. They rarely did. Rarely did. So it was very different.
Yeah.
Now,
It's crazy.
women know their rights.
Ring the
And
bell.
they know what they want.
Hey.
They also know good men. I think there were many good men in our days in terms of
Yes.
availability. Good, solid guys. These days, there seems to be a filter. You tell me, Kala, about this filter. Because they seem...
But I
there
feel
are few
like
solid guys that they want.
men nowadays, I feel like they use money a lot.
Yes.
That old school game that you're talking about, courting a woman with words, with skill. I don't feel like it's there anymore. People just like, okay, let me buy you this, buy you that, and then you decide if you
No,
want to be with
that's just cheap and crass.
Yeah.
Money. There'll always be somebody with more money than you. So what
Yes.
confidence do you have out of that?
Right.
It's nonsense.
Yeah.
You must court a woman.
So, so now,
But let's not get away from the fact that women are attracted to.
Money.
Definitely.
It's historical.
Yes.
True.
No, it's
Yes.
historical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine us during the caveman days, right?
Yeah.
So, what was an attractive man in those days to a woman?
Someone
Someone
goes
goes
mad.
to hunt.
Women and men come from two different places.
Yeah.
A man is about conquest. A woman, it's survival.
Yes.
When she leaves the house, when Kala leaves the house, they have a different mentality to you, Frank.
Yes.
Okay? You leave for conquest.
Yeah.
They leave and they look at all of us men and they start getting insecure already. Who's going to catcall me? Who's going to
Yeah.
do this? Am I wrong or right?
True.
No.
May
Some of Kweli.
don't
Kalala is
experience it.
Don't lie.
So they come from surviving. We come
Yeah.
from conquering.
Yes.
Adventure and conquest. So in those days, right? You imagine when there was these wild animals, you had the T-Rexes, you had all these crazy animals out there. What was the source of protein?
The
hunter.
animals, yeah, the hunter.
The man needed to go out there and bring the food,
Yeah.
right? So that the children can eat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they look for men who are very big
Yeah.
or very skilled with a bow and arrow,
Yeah.
right? And the men used to parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the giant. So you conquer more women.
You get more
I am the
women.
skilled one. That was the money.
Makes sense.
That was the money.
Yes.
Right?
makes sense.
Yeah. No, those days. No, those days. Then when we moved from the caveman days, we started getting into modern life and industrialization,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So it became the professional, the teacher. There was a time, even in this country, and I know in Uganda and even Nigeria, the most marketable person was the teacher.
Really?
Yes. Not even far, 60s and 70s, was the teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They couldn't keep the women away from them. Yeah. Yeah. The teacher, the civil servant, you know?
Right now it's government officials.
because he brings the bacon.
Yeah.
He has
Yes.
this power to educate all these kids. He must be very clever.
Yes.
So they look for the clever one.
Right.
Who wants to suffer?
Survival. Correct. True. Survival.
Yes.
And then it has transformed into now what you see as raw wealth, whatever it's seen as.
Yeah.
You guys define it differently in on social media. Real wealth is generational wealth. And you need to understand what that means. Generational wealth is that is bequeathed to your grandchildren and beyond.
Yes.
Okay.
Not the flashy one that dies today. We are too into flashiness. I think it's your Instagrams.
Wow. What have I done? Why is that Instagram?
Generational wealth is where it's at.
Yeah.
Right? And generational wealth is not flashy like you're talking. It doesn't throw that money.
Yes.
Because you're thinking
It
about...
gives cards.
Well,
You're thinking beyond today.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So you are thinking, when I go, are my grandchildren, not just my children, are my grandchildren going to have a fantastic lifestyle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a very different thinking.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
Very different.
So you
thinking.
wouldn't go to
Because
like a
no,
place
you're not
and,
here
like,
for yourself. So when you leave children, you think what? When you
What you
educate them,
leaving
that's
now?
it.
Yeah, it
Is
doesn't
that
work
what
like
it is
that.
about? So they start from zero.
No.
Then
That should not be the case.
But is it okay? Obviously, you don't want them to start from zero, and obviously, you want them to understand the value of
That you teach
money,
them.
right? Yeah.
that you teach them.
How'd you separate the two
What do you mean?
in terms of, yes, you want to be able to give them what they need, but then also you have to also teach them the value of what they have.
So you limit what you give, and you show them how hard it is to get it. And they must experience how hard it is to get them. So they must go to the workplace. They must fend for themselves. They must struggle. They must go through up and down.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's parenting.
Yeah.
It's about tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not here for today, my friend.
No,
You're
Jimmy,
not.
True.
Jimmy,
So I'm
now
glad
that-
you have 4 children.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Hey. In my government, you will be free of taxation.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
By that time, I
Oh,
would have had it
yeah,
more.
you'll be free of tax.
There are things, Frankie, like, so
Yeah.
did this skill of yours that you had is that how you got your wife right now?
In terms of
Yeah, because you see, you've said you're very
Yeah,
good
your
with your
courtship.
with your
my wife is
skills.
about 9 years younger than me, so you can imagine I must have been good.
Yeah, 9 years.
Absolutely.
So you think I
Yes.
should get a man like 10 years older than me?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So do you have a son?
Definitely. You're switched on.
Again, do you have a son?
Yes, I do. But I think he's your age. So I don't think he
I'm
fits the bill.
25.
Yeah.
He's
I think
25.
he's 25.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Interesting.
Stress.
So what are some of the things that maybe your children have picked up about you that you're happy about, and certain things which you're like, oh, I wish they didn't pick that from me?
Let me say, I have a very candid relationship with my kids.
Yes.
Very candid. So they ask me anything if they're unhappy about something I'm doing or they don't understand. We have candid discussions. Candid. So I don't know what they're unhappy with right now, because
They tell you
anything they've been unhappy about, they've talked about and come to understand.
Yeah.
I never thought I would ever be in frontline politics.
Really?
No. The intention in our family was always that my father's done politics. My brother and I will try and build on the business that he has left and our own, consolidate that. And maybe the next generation of our family will enter politics. So there'll be a new era. But for some reason or another, God has always put me in politics.
Or it's genetic?
So every single regime somehow end up being
You just
somewhere in
in
the
the
table.
mix.
Yeah, in the mix. And it's not that I request.
Yeah.
It's that it just
just
happens.
happening.
It just happened.
So
Yeah.
Jimmy, 2027, are you in the ballot as president or not? Look
do you,
me in
do you
the
want
eye.
me to be there?
Are you going to be there? You should be asking the right questions. Will you vote for me, Kala?
You see, I started a journey and I believe in finishing journeys.
Yes.
I started a journey in 2022 to go for the presidency. I cannot stop.
All right.
I have to be on the ballot.
And what happened in 2022? You are not on the ballot.
Well, let me say it was a conspiracy of forces that made sure that I was off the ballot.
Okay. Now say
Mainly
this in English.
mainly led by Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
You see, what was happening is that there was politically an attempt to embed a 2-horse race,
All right.
which had first started in 2017. It was the first 2-horse race since multipartyism. So in 2022, there was this feeling that it must be a 2-horse race and it must be embedded. So they chose, the regime that was there of Uhuru, chose their opponent
All right.
as William Ruto. They didn't want a mix that could have brought a runoff or a different formula. They chose their opponent,
All right.
believing that when they've chosen that opponent, that opponent was going to lose.
He did
So anything else in between had to be killed.
All right.
That is principally what happened.
Okay. But you
So
see,
they used excuses like my university degree,
Do you have
graduation
it?
certificate. Of course I do.
Well, let me see now, ban.
Of course.
Nilipia school fees.
If it was not that, they would have used something else.
All right.
Yeah.
These are just excuses because those constitutionally are not real barriers.
Okay.
Right? But they would have done anything to ensure a two-horse race because there were political games at hand. Uhuru was trying to perpetuate himself. Him and I had fallen out when he got to power.
Okay.
And he understood what is called tribal arithmetic.
Okay.
And he figured that this new generation that may go to vote may actually want somebody that's not been in siasa. This new generation is going to vote may just not want these other two choices. The community where I come from may say, oh, this is the person from the community who's on the ballot.
Right.
So it had a potential at worst case scenario of causing what is called a runoff, which is not something they wanted. Because what it would have meant, Kala, is that they would have had to talk to me if I was in that runoff to win. Correct?
Right.
In the second round. And there's no way they were going to be able to talk to
you.
Yeah.
So is it that when you get into coalition with someone or other, you're now good friends in politics, and then baadaye when things go proper for them, they ditch you, unakasirika na kuna put vendetta on them, and you're like, you know what, this is politics, we go back to the drawing board, we restructure, we come back, we conquer. Like, how do you handle this sort of situation? Because you've also mentioned that when your competition looks at the people who are there to vote, this new generation, which I would see Gen Z, okay? We are the future of tomorrow, we are the next vote. So is this why you're coming to us, or you actually have our best interest at heart?
You see, what happened is this. I had assessed it long before. In fact, my campaign was based on something called Itweka. Itweka in our culture means a cutoff from the generation that is there. Cut them off from any leadership because they have destroyed what is there.
Okay.
So if we go traditionally, for example, what were called the Kobe, the stores for keeping grain that was excess in case of famine, was always left to grandmothers because they would never pinch it. They would see the generations behind them as the ones who need food, not them. Now, Itweka meant that you get rid of the grandmother. That means that she maliza the granary.
Just starved, basically.
Yeah, she finished. She didn't do her job, right? Instead of safeguarding our future for food.
Yeah.
She didn't look after the granary and it's empty.
Right.
So you tell her, go. And you actually get a young person to come there and look after that granary, store.
Yeah.
So I called my campaign Itweka, that we need to break away from this past. And it was based primarily on this, that we could see it when I supported Uhuru and Ruto. You had a new constitution, all right? 50 years after independence. You also had a new generation, because now it was moving from our fathers, Mwai Kibaki, Kenyatta, first Kenyatta, Moi, to now the baby boomers who are their children. So he had a new generation into power. And the hope was that this new generation would appreciate the generational shift and change the template of how we govern, especially with a new constitution. Forget the old, right? It's a jubilee period, as we called it. That's why even the party was called Jubilee. And I was saying was Jubilee. It's a new period that is ahead. And remember, we talked about digital analog, right? It was changing to this new embrace of the generations to come. Now, within a very short time, within a year, my good friends showed me they were more analog than Kibaki. So that is why we fought. It was ideological, by the way.
Yeah.
It was ideological, right? Don't tell me you want to be kings and empires and emperors, right? At the expense of a generation.
Yeah.
And that so-called modern Kenya must stop in its tracks, right?
Yeah.
That empowering young people is too dangerous. And that the template that was brought to us by the Mzungu, where 60% must remain hungry, must continue.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know this?
I didn't know this.
Okay, so the Mzungu has this, let me say it, planned poverty. I like to call it planned poverty. Because it's about governing people. Okay? You keep 60% of the people hungry. They're busy looking for food every day, so they don't think about you.
Yeah.
All right? Then you have 30% that you so-called call the middle class. In this country, it is anybody between wages of 25,000 shillings to 20,000 shillings. That's the middle class here, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not much.
20,000 shillings.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
25,000 to 200,000.
200,000.
And then you keep 10% who are the rich, of which really 1% are the ones controlling. Because when you're thinking about food, you have little time to think about what's happening up.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about private school for your kid and a salary away from poverty, you have little time to think
Yeah.
about the top.
Yeah.
And the top are very comfortable with status quo because you're creating the wealth under which they
Yeah.
eat and
Yeah.
govern you. All right? Now, that is what we sought to change. And I am very ideological about this. We had gone through what you call our political revolution, right? We had multipartism, we had free press, we had all those things, and it was embedded in the 2010 constitution. Unlike Uganda, has a very good constitution, I must say, by the way, but it is never going to be actualized
Yes, it's never.
because Museveni came in with a gun.
Yes.
He didn't come through the ballot. So that will be he'll always go back to the gun.
Yeah.
Now, here, we have gone through such serious reforms that there are laws embedded and there are structures and institutions. The courts are supposed to be independent, right? And even if they Teresa once in a while, they eventually get back to where they should be. So we have that freedom politically. We also have a very educated community.
Yes, you do.
Mwai Kibaki, that was one thing I must praise him for. His free primary education just created a whole different template for Kenyans. So we are more aware. Here, to switch off the internet, like you see, correct. Jaribu ujinga.
Yeah.
Okay, here people won't take it.
Yeah.
And there are so
don't
many
think we have a
institutions that
choice.
depend on it.
Yeah.
In Uganda, you don't have a
You
choice.
guys don't have a choice.
we
You
don't
You
have
just
a
sit.
choice.
You just sit.
Yeah.
Here, people go wild.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay, and institutions start falling.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't do it. Ruto tried it with Gen Z. He couldn't even get Safaricom and all to do it. They had to go, because they are shareholders of Seacom,
Yeah.
to actually go to that to say temporary. Okay? Because there is a coup situation. It didn't last.
Yeah.
Now, we are in, and it was just a few hours.
A few hours.
And really, they just slowed it
and
down.
they were already complaining.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they were just cut off. First, we were cut off a whole. You guys, do you understand what
Somebody who said, "What is Kenya? We are over it."
Anyway, overrated.
One more time.
we have something else here. So we had achieved political reforms.
Yes.
Tanzania has the same problem.
political harmony.
It does
and
not have
everything.
political reforms. Nigeria, the same problem. Does not have political reforms. Right? Now, since we had achieved it, the next stage is economic.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that 60% are wealthy, not poor? Those are 22 million Kenyans who look for food every day.
Yeah.
22 million.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hand to mouth.
Right?
Yes.
So how do you change this? So the essence was that we are now in our economic revolution period,
Yes.
right? And it's so simple, right? It means availing capital, right? Entrepreneurial capital for that growth. Government should seed, right? Get out of the way of entrepreneurs. And a template must be created where the private sector is the one driving this economy, not the government.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not the
I thought
government.
you guys don't have those programs where they give like they train students.
But who is giving you?
The government didn't give you guys money.
No, we don't want government to give us.
Hey,
No.
what do you want?
We should be able to raise it ourselves. That's the difference.
I hear you.
So how it works is
But
like
I
this.
thought
How it
capital
works
is
is like
given.
this.
Okay, how does it work?
If in the 60s and 70s, you had a situation where you were borrowing at 4%,
Okay.
3%. I want to give you an example. Today, under Mwai Kibaki, in fact, let me start there. Under
Right.
Mwai Kibaki, domestic debt, money from our banks, our pension funds, our insurance companies, right? He had 1 trillion in domestic debt, 1 trillion.
Okay.
But there was 2 trillion out there. Yeah, Kenya's got money.
I'm saying because
There was
what?
2 trillion in banks, in, our money,
Okay.
right? So what Uhuru does is that he gobbles it. He takes it away from us. So we don't have access to it. Today it is 6 trillion that is in government coffers for domestic debt,
Yeah.
right? So you've taken from our wealth, what we have created, put in
Right.
our savings accounts, put in our insurance companies, pension funds, and you've taken it and made it government debt, right?
Okay.
That you cannot show anything that it went to, right? Okay? That's the key thing you need to understand.
Economy.
So when they take it away from us, they are giving an attractive interest rate. So they tell banks, we'll give you a 14% interest rate, give us the money. So what do they charge us? 18%. Some banks have gone up to 24%. So how are we going to access that capital? Banks are more comfortable giving government rather than giving us.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to
Makes so
imagine
much
that
sense.
I call it odious debt because it's not taken legally according to our laws. Now, if that money was available, Kala, to you, and you go and you are borrowing 1 million shillings, okay,
All right.
at 5%, means that you're paying an interest of 50,000
Yes.
per year.
So no addition.
You want to tell me Mama Mboga cannot make huge money?
That's possible.
That's possible.
Okay. Now,
So
but-
that's the capitalization I'm talking about.
No, because there's that, but then there's also in Uganda we have programs where we get. Don't look at me like that. I know our country is not the best, but it still has its benefits. We have programs where we have we get the uneducated people who haven't finished school, who dropped out, maybe they got pregnant, something like that, where they go and train and learn either hairdressing, shoemaking, saloon stuff, basically different skills. And then after that training period of 6 months, they're all given capital of 1 million to go and start. So I was thinking, because Kenya is a very...
Where is the government getting the money? I want you to understand the principle with which I'm talking about. The government is getting that money to give those people that 1 billion to start and even to educate them from our taxes and from the taxes of Ugandans.
Yes.
What we are saying is that government should not drive that. It's not government to dole out. It should be accessible to you. You go to American universities. When they are finishing school, you have schools there. Work companies lined up to take them. You have banks there ready to give them mortgages. Okay? Outside, you're graduating, they've got desks. Right?
Yeah.
Come, we give you a loan for a house. Mortgage.
Yeah.
This, that, 3%, 2%. Right? And they know you've gotten a job
They,
in the next tent.
Yeah.
Okay.
But how do you make that
So
change?
that's the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to make. That as long government should not be giving you, it should be
reducing
there should be
taxes,
such
reducing-
high demand for you,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? From the private sector.
I actually understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
isn't that a very difficult shift
Why?
to make?
Why?
If it was there
Let me
before,
try
I
and
think you can do
explain
it
it to you
again.
like this. First, you want to call it the private sector, and I hear you. But then again, let's not act as if in Kenya, it's not the same people who are also running the private sector. That's number one. Number two, you're telling us that we should not sit back and wait for the government to give us that money. We have come through with the creative industry, the creative economy, right? Where all I need is a phone. Tumekuja hadi na simu ya lipa mdogo mdogo, where I can just have a nice phone, but I can shoot content. But we come across a government, rather society, where when I shoot content, kwanza mnaona kama mseflani fala online. Number two, mnasema na ropokwa. Number three, there's also no opportunity for me. Other countries, I would be doing way better if
They're
I was
investing
there.
in that,
But
yeah.
you know, but then with our country, that's not the case. And before you start saying it's not my government, in the event you become president, what are you doing about
Yeah.
that? Because
You see,
Mintonga comes
it's a model of an economy.
yeah,
All right?
yeah,
What has happened here is that the larger government gets, the smaller the private sector gets.
okay,
Government today is in every part of our lives. Right? It's in our homes.
for sure,
I mean, you have a president telling us about the price of unga. Well, I mean, this is nonsense.
yeah,
Really. we must be beyond a government trying to influence even the markets of such things.
Okay.
It should be very free market, right? And if we have enough competition, that price will be lower than it is today. But you need to create the environment, right? Which means growth of the private sector and competition.
Yes.
Right? Human capital and competition, right? Brings down what you call the scale, economies of scale, so that you have a decreasing element of production. So our production costs are not high.
Okay.
So whatever comes out onto the market, right, is reasonably priced.
Okay.
China today is competitive because they reached economies of scale, right?
Yeah.
So now they come out and anything they produce is cheaper than anywhere else in the world.
Yes.
Okay, and yet they still pay their people very well. Okay, now we need to get government out of our lives, and that means capitalization of the private sector, and that is across the board in Africa, not just Kenya,
Africa.
Because we need to just agree that we need to change this model, because this model is political.
Yeah.
The politicians, what I call the legacy politicians, are very happy with this model that they were introduced to by the Mzungu. Keep the people looking for food. They don't disturb you while you eat.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, if you empower, like you guys are empowered, because you now read,
Yeah.
you have access to information, you compare notes, you have history of the internet, you challenge authority.
Right? Yes.
So here in Kenya, you challenged authority last year.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, my dear, there's never been a protest like you saw last year in this country.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ate Mau Mau
Ever.
It stopped being tribal.
Yeah, it was
Everyone
not
was fed
tribal.
up.
And the numbers
Yeah.
and the persistence per day.
Yeah.
Okay? It's never been seen in this country.
Really?
Even in the
Yes.
advent of multipartyism.
Let's be honest. Kenya is generally filled with...
What we saw last year was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that was not organized. It was from
There was
people.
no
It's
leader.
like a spirit came here.
Yeah.
No, I feel like it also... let's not forget history. We have Mau Mau Rebellion, we have Maji
And
Maji.
that's
All
the
those
spirit.
things.
We'll
It
come
is
to
the
that.
Kenyan spirit.
But it's a spirit, yes. It's
Yes,
a spirit.
Ugandans don't
Yes,
have
we
that.
No,
You've not had...
we've got that spirit.
Yeah.
So, what does Ruto do? To him, the internet is his enemy now. And those players inside there are the enemies.
Yeah.
Because the challenge is to legacy politicians.
Yeah.
You are now challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
You are no different to Mau Mau.
Yeah. But
And Mau Mau's war, as you were stating, was about land and freedom.
Yes.
Economic and political.
called freedom.
And it lost... So many lives were lost.
Yes,
Yeah.
300,000
Yeah.
is the closest estimate. So you have land, which is economic, and freedom, which was political. So we achieved our political rights. Now it's our economic rights. And that's what people do not understand we are not achieving. And that means government getting out of being our oppressor.
Okay. But Jimmy,
And our biggest oppressor, as I've been trying to state over the last 2 or 3 years, is a slave called debt.
yeah.
They...
Yes.
You don't want to know our...
It takes away 70% of your taxes.
Hey.
Yes.
The reason why you're
Of every
taxed
100
highly
shillings you give in tax,
Yeah.
70 is going to debt.
to pay...
Wow.
And it's literally money that was eaten
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
'cause where
went
did
to
they-
somebody's pocket.
by over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
All
They're
right.
paying someone's
Yeah.
debt.
Because when you're sitting in that chair, you have 2 sources of revenue. You have tax revenue
Yes.
and you have debt revenue. Right? That's what the treasury operates with. So tax revenue only comes every day, like you're selling a sweet.
Yeah.
It's little it drips. Okay? But this one you can balloon.
Yeah.
Because it is future taxation. Right? It's
Right.
tax in advance. So you can just do some hesabu here and
1,
say,
2, 3.
if we take 1 trillion debt, yeah, what does it mean?
Yeah.
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 Issue.
So they found a debt of 1.9 trillion. And by the time they left, they had taken it. By the time Guru left, it was 8.5. It is now 11.
Yeah.
But I want you to imagine how much we have paid. Okay?
With nothing
How
to
much?
show for it.
We paid 5.6 by the time Guru left. Then we paid another 1.6 and we are paying another 1.9. That's 7, right? And then this financial, we're paying 1.9. What is that? 1.9?
That's 9.
That's about 10.
Yeah.
No, 9.
No,
9. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 9.
9. And it's still showing 11. It still goes up.
Yeah.
So what is this thing?
That means someone is still
And
borrowing.
it's still taking 70% of your income
Yes.
yes.
of tax. Last month, fortunately here, unlike Uganda, we have our monthly figures of statements from the Treasury.
Yeah.
And last month, it showed that we had tax revenue of 156 billion. All right?
56 billion.
No, 152 billion, sorry, tax revenue.
Yeah.
And the debt we paid last month was 156. So over, yeah.
Okay.
So we were negative 4 billion in tax. So we had to borrow it. So we have domestic borrowing of 148 billion in 1 month. So salaries were paid by borrowings, right? Which is contrary to the law.
Yeah.
Petrol of police is paid by borrowings. In other words, it's like you paying for borrowings of your food.
Recurrent expenditure.
Yeah. Food in your house, taking school fees, you're borrowing. All these expenses you have, you're borrowing. Right? That's what's going on here. I want you to imagine 156 billion debt in a month, payments, is 6 billion shillings per day.
Insane.
Per?
Day.
In 1 day.
But don't you see that being the actual
Per day, yes.
the hardest part of shifting
No,
that term?
that is what is called our slavery.
Because you unatoa nyama kutoka mdomo ya.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. That's why the revolution is important. It has to happen. And we must free ourselves from that. Otherwise, you just have slavery until 2040.
Okay, Jimmy. Ulikuwa maandamano?
Of course.
Because the change has to happen now.
Yes.
Now, let me ask.
See, that's the excuse they used to come for me on Nananane.
Okay. So you've been saying that our biggest problem is mostly these legacy leaders. But just a couple of hours ago, you mentioned that these were your classmates from childhood all the way to high school. How are you different? How is it that we're going to believe that this is you, but this is not someone trying to get into the system to now make
I'll
it
tell
worse?
you, we didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
What I saw of my friend Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto I got to meet in 2006.
Okay.
But Uhuru Kenyatta, we didn't grow up like that.
Okay.
What I saw him in power, no, that's not how we grew up.
You were like, who's this?
That is
my
not even
friend.
how his father was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think power changed him? Or
He got captured by very many things.
You want to be
I want to
captured by
fall
the-
short of saying that I overestimated his capacity.
Okay.
All right? Yeah.
You thought he was going to be
I
a man
think-
of his word.
Not only his word, that he actually had some ideology that was beyond himself. We did not grow up like that, Frank. We didn't.
So you blame
So I
it
can
on
assure you,
integrity?
don't blame the schooling. I grew up different. Okay?
Okay.
We grew up different. We saw life different.
Yeah.
And then
And you've seen
my
different
life has
things.
not been in politics. It's been in business.
Yes.
So I understand the value of people having money.
Okay.
Because that is my market.
So ukomboka sasa.
Yeah. Mkiwa na pesa, I can sell you this jacket.
So,
Yeah. So we want an empowered population.
All right.
Yeah.
We want people rich here.
you know,
Because then there's more to circulate. And if you're creative, as you're saying, if you have ideas, if you are innovative, you have a larger market. That market you're talking about, ambao huna, itakuwa. Because they are there.
Okay.
It's there. But which industries are there? You look at our industry, right? It was 14% of GDP. In other words, of all that we produce in this country in 2012, right? Industry was 14%, right? What is produced by our industry? Today, it's 7% and declining. So which market? If we are not industrialized, where are we getting jobs? Where are we creating value addition? Where are we empowering people? How can it decline in this day and age?
Yeah.
And you expect to have a market? From who? How do you get jobs? We have a 62% unemployment rate here.
But you're always talking about jobs.
No, skiza.
Okay.
Out of every 10 people that come out of the job market, 6 do not get jobs. Do you know what kind of tragedy you're talking about? Na wewe hujui Gen Z wewe. Wewe unasema wewe ni Gen Z. The most interesting thing about Gen Z, and it's something that people are missing. What brings them together?
The internet.
What is their fusion? No, the internet is today, but what is their fusion? Why do they connect so well in the internet?
They want to make money, right?
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah, tunataka do.
The genesis of everything is always history. So what is their history?
You tell us.
You tell us.
What is our history?
Okay, one common thread you'll find. Sababu now you want to learn.
Acha nikae vizuri.
Yeah, please educate us.
Okay. One common thread is boarding school. When did they go to boarding school?
She went in high school.
Gen Z, when did you go to boarding?
Most of them?
Freelander High School.
Well, you ended high school. Most went when?
Primary.
Right.
Nothing.
Most went when they were age 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So they are growing up. They were cast out of the house. Right? So where you are asking about my father, do they know their father?
Not so well.
They went to primary school. It's the fellow students and the teacher.
Yes.
High school. And high school is hardship.
Yes.
There are some schools here that are hardship. They are very good in terms of grades, but the general living is not easy.
Kalala school.
Correct? Yes. Higher. So who? Your fraternity are your classmates.
Yes.
Yeah. Your hardships, your learning of life, especially at adolescent, is your classmates, not your parents, and your teacher. And most of them hated their teachers. Okay?
Yes.
That authority. Am I wrong or right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Right. So now they come out, you go to university, how many are you? Not many.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah, you need to see the cutoff rate. 10 million go to primary, right? 5 million, in fact, it's 10, almost 11. You have 5 million that go to high school. 6 million go to high school, right? So you have 5 that are not there.
Yeah.
And only 275 go to university.
Campus, yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
You see the cutoff?
Yeah.
So after all that hardship, you know your fellow students, you know your teacher who you hate, that authority.
Okay.
And you are told that you go through all this hardship and you have the promise of an opportunity called a job.
Yes.
So after all that, you come out and it's a big lie.
Yeah.
Only 3 of you or 4 of you get jobs of every 10. It's a con.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Now
a
you're on
scam,
TikTok.
boss.
Yes.
Now
So
you're on
do
TikTok.
you see the commonalities?
Yeah, boss.
Yeah.
And take note, when you're sent out of the house at 6, how do you feel? No, so you've been, it's like you've been rejected
You
by
know,
your parents.
You feel like
And then your
you can't-
parents now try and come into your life later on. They don't know you. You're independent.
Yeah.
You have your own mind. You grew up different. You see things different. Where were they in your life? You learn to live without them.
Yeah.
So you have a different ethos. But what binds you is that commonality of your history.
Yeah.
It didn't know culture. It didn't know tribe. It didn't know religion.
For
It
sure.
was a sum total of experiences. It didn't know class. Frankie, am I making sense to you?
Yes, you are.
That is the new energy. And it's across Africa. It's the new energy.
Yeah.
The legacy politicians don't know what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can't make it. They're finished. It's over. So look at the last election.
Yeah.
7 million voted one way, 7 million voted the other way, almost 7 million. For Raila, 1 for Ruto. But the largest voter was the one that did not participate. I didn't participate. That was 8 million. That is the voter that is now much bigger
Yes.
because they've been disenfranchised by these two, right? And now there's a revolution and there's going to be more and more voters. They are finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can't even stop it.
Yeah. It can happen. It's happening.
Yeah, they can't stop it.
So how do
So
you
Mr.
see 2027?
They are finished.
How do you see that?
The
turning
legacy
out?
politicians are done. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
Mr. Jimmy, I was going to inquire, since so
Interesting.
many people refer you as the kingmaker,
Yes.
and how did they manage to actually kick you out of the whole,
Scene.
scene? How? Yet you
Uhuru
are.
and Ruto. You know, traditionally, most people hate kingmakers.
Hey.
In fact, if you look at history,
Yes.
kingmakers are killed very soon after a king takes power. Yeah.
Didn't they try with that?
Yes,
whole
they have
bombing in
tried
your-
many times.
Yeah.
They've tried.
Yeah.
Oh
but,
God.
But yeah, God.
Yeah.
But it's normal because you fear the person that put you there.
Yeah.
You believe they have capacity to
They
remove
do
you.
have,
Remove
but
you.
they do have the.
And one of the biggest things when you get to that seat is you are made to feel insecure. So it depends on your own strength and confidence. Kibaki was a very confident man.
Okay.
Yeah.
He could see big picture. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He'd seen experiences. So he was never scared.
You know, that actually
But-
gets me to my next point
Yes.
of our president shared
Yes.
that it doesn't take just him to make a decision. Yes, it takes, because he has to sit with the head of the head of the army. He has to sit with his vice president, the speaker of parliament, all this. So all those contribute to his decision. He doesn't just wake up and say, "Oh, now we're not going to have internet." It's a joint decision that comes back to him, and he says, "Okay, this is the right choice." So I feel like, I don't know, from what you are saying, that maybe you overestimated him. Well, you never know what happens in the seat. There are so many outside forces that will come in and have opinions on how you can rule, on what is going to be better. And there are some things you can't tell until you're actually inside.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But it depends on you.
You're the final decision maker.
It depends on your character, on your ethos, on your being. You are captured. There's no doubt about it. So if, for example, you love money, you'll be captured by where money is being made.
For sure.
Those become your coterie. Right? If you are a hard-hand dictator, then those who sit in the room are the ones who entrench your dictatorship.
Okay.
Right? If you're premised by fear, the people who
Who around you will
guarantee
lead
sort
you.
of your security are the
Yes.
ones around you. But if you are gifted with seeing empowerment of the people, then you want producers that empower the people. Those are the ones that sit in the room.
Yeah.
I do not blame Museveni. He's a legacy politician. Yeah, he's been there, in my view, a bit too long. But he has stabilized Uganda for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, he has.
I do not, I believe he could have done more economically because he has refused political reforms and freedom. I was hoping at least he would have done more economically.
He
But
says his hands are tied.
He has
though.
definitely done more than what his predecessors had done.
Yes, that's
So
true.
we give him kudos.
Yes, kudos.
Now,
to-
I'll give you a contrast. Kagame, for example. Here's a man who comes in with a country that had gone through genocide,
Yes.
right? On historical differences brought about by the Belgians. He gets in and he says, you park your political rights in the corner, right? There's nothing like freedom here, eh?
Yeah.
All right? But I will empower you economically,
Yeah.
all right? And he has done so.
Yes, he has.
He has empowered people economically. But you pack freedom. Don't talk against me. I'll get you.
Okay.
Okay, that's a contrast. Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore got in and he said, your political freedoms, you go and fight for them later.
Yeah.
But I'm going to,
Yes.
but I'm going to make you the richest per capita country in the world. And today it is.
Hey.
Yes. Everybody, I think the per capita income is something like 80,000, 79 to
Yeah.
80,000. It's the richest in the world.
So basically, our
But
president.
after you become rich,
Yeah.
you go and fight for your political freedoms.
Yeah.
China, the same. China says, I'll make you rich. You will grow through state capitalism.
Right.
Right? But don't tell me about political rights.
Yes.
Yeah, don't.
And I feel like that's what Museveni is doing as well. So it's the
Yes,
same
but
thing.
he has not quite reached
The economy.
anywhere he envisaged. I can
Yeah.
assure you of that. With here, we went through the other way. We went through political.
Freedom.
first.
Yes.
So now we have the foundation to fight for our economic.
Yeah.
And that's what William Ruto is struggling with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're talking about how in Kenya we've actually achieved the political aspect of it. But election is coming up in a couple of years. 2027 ni kesho kutwa.
Yeah.
Let's not act like siku hizi masiku haziendi. Okay? But bado tujakuwa na IBC kwe formed up manze tuanze kuregister new voters. Do you feel like this is one of matu schemes inaundwa ndio
No.
kushikilia? Let me tell you, I promise that Gen Z, most of us are most of us, mini Gen Z, we're not going back to that story. Most of us, yes, tuko na ID, but we're not even registered voters. But
Yeah.
after the protests that we had, because you know what, it's high time we take control of our country. I'm pretty sure a better percentage of us is down for voting. So the fact that we have the board in charge for voting bado jakuwa set up, uoni ni kama hii namna hiyo ndio ikifika hiyo time pia wakuchukulia.
I like to look at the election day itself. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell me a sane person that is going to put an X to William Ruto.
Mm-hmm.
An X like this.
Yeah.
So that what continues?
Yeah.
I'm just asking. So that what continues?
Yeah.
You go and put X so that lies continue, so that what continues?
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
That tells you he's done.
So
it doesn't matter what games he does.
Yeah.
I think the delay on IEBC is not primarily just about voters.
okay.
It's more about demarcation. You know, they're supposed to delineate constituencies.
Yes, it is.
And that's what he's trying to avoid.
Okay.
Because they are running the clock so that they don't do it.
Okay.
Because this is one time the election is going to be premised not on land or livestock, but on people. Where the actual people to create a constituency.
Yeah.
So you have to get to something like 50,000 or so per constituency. And a lot of the marginalized areas are going to lose constituencies.
Yeah.
Which means voice in the house. Now you must remember, contrary to what you're hearing in the media, that the government gives you development. No, parliament is the one that demarcates development. That is the institution that passes the money for development. Not the executive, not the president.
Yeah.
It is parliament. So the more seats you have in parliament, the more you can vote, push and lobby for development in your areas.
Yeah.
Right? Or an agenda for the development of a whole country.
Okay.
Not for the executive. So he doesn't want that.
Okay. Yeah.
He thinks that that constituency boundary review is going to work against him. I believe that's the real reason.
That's the idea.
He cannot stop the influx of voters, new voters. He can't stop it.
Si kitu anaweza control.
No, he can't stop it.
Okay.
He can't stop it. This one he's done. He can pretend all he wants, but
Deep down anajua.
He knows the truth.
Yeah, but when he puts his head in his pillow at night, anajua hata yeye ameisha.
Sasa
Yeah.
now that we're
And any of you who join him will get finished.
so they should tread carefully.
He's done.
So now that we're
Huyo ameisha.
Wogopi Ruto. Na hiyo tumesha establish. Si leo, si jana, si 30
Siogopi
minutes ago.
Ruto.
In
No,
real
no,
life.
he's somebody I know personally.
So-
I don't fear him at all.
You are so into
Hey.
Gen Z.
No.
Lucky you.
I
Lucky
don't-
you.
I don't
In
fear-
Uganda,
what
we
are
can't
you
do
fearing
this.
him for here? I know Uganda you can't, because he came in with a gun. It's a different
You cannot.
monster.
You can't say.
Here, this man, fearing what? In fact, he has shown Kenyans he's great in capacity. So why do people fear him? The minute you resort to violence as a means of governing, I mean,
And you came with
you're
peaceful
bereft.
means. Yeah.
You're bereft of ideas
Yeah.
or solutions. Yeah, you're showing your incapacity. It's a waste of time. In fact, I keep wondering, one day he'll face his God like we all will one day.
Yeah.
And I hope he asks God, why did you put me on this earth? Because
No.
I don't think you'll even understand why. Really?
I hear you.
Really?
Deep.
Yeah.
But we have just said we're not calling people losers.
So
No,
let me.
you tell me why he's been put on this earth.
There's a purpose.
He cannot solve our problems.
Maybe he was
He
creating
can't.
space for you.
He
You never
can't.
know.
Yeah. Maybe.
You're into religion zina. Nimenotice by the way kitu in that connection book kwanza nigote. There's nothing I really appreciate like seeing somebody wanting to jump the political scene. Na kwanza ujakuja na suti umefinya hapa tayo.
ya
This
nini?
like
Ya
good
nini?
vibes.
Ya nini?
So similarly there's a guy called Morara. What do you think about him? Because that yako very into wase wa Gen Z.
see-
Unamuona aje ukitulia hivi.
You see, anybody, not just Murara,
Okay.
anybody who's prepared to stick out their necks
Okay.
and participate in this journey, especially because he's doing civic education, trying to, in the simplest of manner, educate people about the fakeness of government.
All right.
How they're saying there's a project, nakuna. Now, I tell people that it's very easy to criticize.
Yeah, it is.
This man is the easiest to throw stones at,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? He blunders every day. It's so easy. I mean, he goes to serve chapati and he has this brainwave that he can make a machine of 1 million chapatis a day. I mean, really. And just because he's serving and he's seen the kids like it. So, there must be a machine. It's his imagination or what. So this man will keep doing those things. So it's the easiest. The key thing is here. It's easy to vote against something. We must be voting for something.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you voting for?
Yeah.
So it's easy for us to all criticize. But what are we about? Like what you asked earlier.
Yeah.
What are we saying Kenyans will live for when you sit on the chair?
Yeah.
So of all these people who are coming out, that's all you need to ask.
Okay.
How, and not only a promise is like the way Ruto used to promise, but how are you going to do this?
Yeah, don't just tell us. it will
Like for
happen.
example, if you're promising us gold every day,
Right.
where are you getting it from?
How is it?
Where are you getting it from?
The process.
If you're saying that we're going to finally have good health care and we're going to finally get back to a model of free education. Where are you getting the money? Don't tell us stories.
Yeah.
Show us where you're getting the money, because we know 70% of our money is going out, and you only have 30 shillings of every 100. Right?
Yeah.
You need 50 for salaries, so you're negative 20. You need 40 for the counties, you're negative 60. Correct?
Yeah.
You need 30 for operations, you're negative 90.
Yeah.
You've not even done development. So you tell us where you're raising the money from.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You see, what models are you bringing? Because it's about economic empowerment.
That's true.
I don't think anybody cares about anything else right now.
Yeah.
Frank, you don't look hungry.
I'm very
Wewe
hungry.
utaki alafu
Sana.
Yeah.
this is about empowerment.
Yes.
You guys have all gone to that Instagram of colors, and you've seen how Mzungus live very well.
Yes.
They have Ferraris. That's why don't you have them yourself?
Exactly.
Correct.
Mr.
Why are you not those creatives out there that are making millions of dollars?
Yes.
Why are you not? Isn't that what you want? That's the answer you want, right?
exactly we
For
want.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So let people tell you what is the how to.
Not what to expect.
No, it's easy to criticize.
Yeah.
And this, as I said, this one is easiest to criticize. But tell us after that, then what?
So
What will life be like?
yeah.
But I
Because
feel like
this one is gone. Ruto is gone.
Yeah, Mr. Jimmy, I was saying, since you're on that point of how do you intend to reduce the interests for the loans
The
people are
debt.
going to be
Yeah.
borrowing?
No,
the
I'm not
debts?
going to reduce interest. It's unlawful debt. I'll just cut it off.
Explain to me the
Hey.
finance.
I
of
won't
that.
even waste time. In 48 hours, this is just crooking. There's no law that would back this. It did not go according to a law. It didn't go to a project. These people have eaten this money. I'm cutting it off day one. Yes.
Hey, so you're
And
just
what
going
that
to
means,
it's possible. So
Yes,
Ruto can
of
do it,
course
but
it
he has
is.
not done it.
why?
He can just cut it off,
But why won't he do it?
why would he do it?
because he's the president. He's
No,
supposed
but
to
why
have
hasn't
Kenya's
he done
best
it?
right? Why hasn't he done it? is the
Because
question.
where
Are you
was he in the
trying to-
previous regime?
Oh, the short end of the stick, huh?
And where are all these other people in this? So
Yeah.
this you just cut off. So this
Yeah.
year, for example, it's 1.9 trillion shillings going to debt payments this
Yeah.
financial year to June. So far, he's paid 900. He has another 1 trillion between now and June to look for, right?
Okay.
In the next financial year, it's 2.2 trillion.
What?
In the next financial year, it's 2.6 trillion. In the next financial year, 2.8 trillion. In the next financial year, 3.4 trillion.
Yeah.
I can go on like this until 2038.
Okay.
So when you just cut
So
off, does it
where
just-
do you think you're going to have any life
Yeah.
with that slavery, with that chain? That is our chain of slavery.
All right.
So when you just
The Mzungu put us in chains like this and took them to our country
and just
made us, yes. You're working, Frank, for nothing else.
for
You're paying that
nothing.
thing.
You're
And
not
it's people
developing
who
your
ate
country.
that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
In
Jimmy.
excess of something like 6 trillion shillings.
So when you cut it off, it doesn't affect.
That's 52 billion shillings was eaten.
Yeah. So Mr. Jimmy, sorry.
52 billion dollars. Not
Eh?
shillings. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So when you just wake up and cut, it doesn't affect.
Cut what? Affect
The
what?
debt.
It doesn't affect people's lives.
How will
doesn't
it affect people's lives?
When the money never even
it
came to
never
our
came to
pocket.
you.
Right.
So why would he do that?
You
How
look
will
at
it
you look
affect
at
you?
it this way. We did some numbers. I don't know whether you're in the mind for numbers.
It's
Yes,
okay.
please.
We got this.
All
Give
right.
us numbers.
So and I keep telling each country in Africa they need to do this. I know Chelima in Zambia is doing it, and he's coming up with very similar figures. So in 10 years, from 2013 to 2023, right? The whole basis of borrowing is to finance a shortfall.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you do a budget, right?
Yeah.
And you say, what are your expenses
Yeah.
and what is your income? That's
Yes.
tax revenue.
All right.
So you look at the expense side, right? And you have development for 6 trillion. You have county money. You have salaries of government. You have operations of government. You have counties, right? And you do a number, all right?
Okay.
Shall I tell you the number?
Tell us,
I'm
please.
scared.
You
it
do a
on
number.
out.
Let's
Lay it down.
estimate. Let's estimate.
14.6 trillion,
Okay.
all right?
Okay.
10 years.
Yeah.
And then you look at your tax revenue, right? That is your income, like
Yes.
for your business.
Yeah.
What your sales revenue is. You look at that, it was 13.3 trillion,
Yeah.
right? So what was the shortfall, which is in economic terms called the deficit?
Yeah.
1.3.
Yeah.
Right. So you say, okay, so what did the government borrow? Because all they needed was
1.3.
And take note, you're talking 6
1.4.
trillion development. Eh?
Okay.
What did they borrow?
1.4, yeah.
They borrowed 7.7 trillion.
And all they needed was 1.3.
3.
Yes. So what did they do with the rest?
Where is
the rest?
The 5 point what?
5.7.
It was not needed.
Wait,
But
so
it was still gotten.
isn't there
So-
paperwork to do?
So 6.6, what is 7.7?
7.7
Minus 1.3 is how much?
That's
6.4.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So 6.4 trillion was not needed on any budget item to finance anything.
But
So
the
why was it borrowed?
The papers are there to show it was borrowed.
Yes. That's what we are paying.
And where is it?
So how
And
does
that's
the
why
money
it never
move?
ends. What do
Is
you
there
mean?
no
How does it
like
move?
paper trail of how that
Yeah,
money moves?
how the money.
Oh, a very interesting thing happened in 2014 here. And this is where I fell out with the Uhuru. Our constitution and our laws are very good. Chapter 12. Very, very good. Public finance
Yeah.
in the constitution are very clear. They say that there must be only one account called the consolidated fund, which is in the central bank, called the exchequer account, that all revenue of government must come. That's the constitution of Kenya.
Okay.
Right? So you have one account, all money goes there, and then it is apportioned as per the budget that is passed by parliament. So in 2014, right, they move an amendment headed by a man called leader of majority was Duale. The current minister of finance was the minority leader. He seconded the motion. So the opposition seconded the motion, saying this, that all monies do not have to go into consolidated fund, and added 2 things to what is called the Public Finance Management Act,
Okay.
and 2 items, all to do with loans, that loans can go into any account in the world, right?
Okay.
Okay?
Any
Yeah.
that belong to who?
Yeah.
To anyone.
It can go into
To
anywhere. They don't have to come to the consolidated fund.
Okay.
All right? Which means that you now do not have controller of budget who approves, because controller budget only approves what is in the consolidated fund for its removal. The auditor general only audits what's in the consolidated fund for its
Yes.
removal.
So the other
For-
one
to
is
check
not
the accounts.
audited.
The other one is just out there.
It's floating.
And they allowed this bill to pass.
So it passed. The amendment passed, contrary to the constitution. In fact, it's an illegal amendment. But the opposition even seconded,
Yeah.
just to show you how bad things are when people either don't read or become complicit. So they usurped the constitution of Kenya. And that's how they did the 6.4 trillion. That is how it floated out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it take a whole parliament to vote for an amendment?
Yes, they
to
voted
pass?
for it.
They voted and said
They
yes.
voted, yes. So either they don't read, they don't understand,
But they were paid off.
they are rubber stamps, or they were
Yeah.
paid off.
Oh
That's
my
how sad
God.
this is. And that is our slavery today. So I want to assure you
Wow.
something. You have no future as long as that is there.
Okay.
You have no economic future.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this country, no.
And you have told
Just-
people this and
Yeah, enough times. It's just going like this.
So is
And
it
I'm not being sensational. Buddy was trying to say the other day I'm not being sensational. Why doesn't he look at my audit? I've done it. According to the laws, according to the numbers that they are presented,
this is what
because these accounts are every year.
Numbers
they are-
don't
they are-
lie.
They are brought out. You just bother to read
Yeah.
and do some numbers.
1+1.
So what happens if you cut off that debt is that you only have one threat, that people say, oh, we won't fund you. But we don't need it. If a shortfall in 10 years was 1.3 trillion, we can just reduce our development budget. But look at the converse. Money now will be
the end
available.
game.
Money now from our banks, our pension funds, our insurance companies will be available for the public,
To you.
private sector
Yeah.
to access. Where does venture capital come in? Venture capital is the private money
Yeah.
that companies you've heard like BlackRock, right? JP Morgan Stanley Chase is one of the big ones too. They get money from pension funds, from insurance companies,
Okay.
right? And they go into what is called emerging market interests
Yeah.
and investments. So like now Turkana, you find BlackRock is one of the biggest shareholders. That is venture capital from insurance companies, pension funds, from America. Insurance companies here have given 800 billion to domestic debt. Pension funds, almost 1 trillion. Right? So you imagine that money being available for the private sector to do projects.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You can go and build roads.
Yeah.
You build the next green energy plant. Right? At 100 billion, you consort together and be able to access that money. Right? Because they'll be looking for places they can invest and get a better return than putting the money in the bank. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's where they took away that money so that you don't have access to it. Once you do that, you make people poor. It's the biggest problem we have. And it's all over Africa.
Yeah.
And the Mzungu is the architect.
It's another
He's the
Africa.
architect.
Even Nigeria.
Yeah. It's the biggest problem.
But with the creative economy in Nigeria, not to pick a 10, let's not even lie. From
Culture.
How do we
Culture.
we have 42 languages.
No. Culture. Remember, they were not fully colonized.
Yes.
Tell me about this half
Yeah.
colonization and full
You
colonization.
see, they were similar to us. They were taken over by the British.
Yeah.
But the British went to Nigeria, and the weather around Lagos, Port Harcourt, all those areas that they
It's
took
hot.
over, they couldn't take the weather.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, the people are not easy to manage.
Vichwangu.
I can tell you,
Yeah.
Ogas showed them dust.
Hey.
So they decided here, we have a few offices, nini, it's a semi-colony.
Okay.
All right? Yeah. No, nakwambia. Frank, it's true.
Yeah.
Right? So, in Kenya, they came, they liked the weather.
Yeah.
They decided this is not just a place to colonize, extract from. Because you must understand, the colonizer came to exploit, extract, and dominate.
Yeah.
They couldn't dominate Nigerians,
Yeah.
right? But they still wanted an aspect of extraction.
From them, yes.
Now, domination is a different school of thought. Because domination, you come and start dividing us like they did into our tribal units, into our locations and our districts, okay? And you start managing us. You change our religion, you change our names,
Yeah.
right? Your past is thrown away. Who is a Kenyan today? We are a product of what?
Slavery, colonialism.
No, but what are we? We don't even have clothing like Nigerians.
Yeah.
They have their own clothing. When I
their own
grew
sound
up,
when it comes to
they
music.
have their identity,
Yeah.
and it's very admirable.
Yeah.
We don't have it. Ugandans
Yeah.
don't have it.
No, but
No, I'm telling you. No, Skiza. Just hear me out. You see, Nigerians,
Yes.
right? Because it was a semi-colony, they maintained their names. Very hard to find one with an English name,
by the way, best.
right? They maintained their culture, their religion, their clothing, their food.
Yes.
They glorify their food.
Their food, egusi.
Okay? They
Their music.
remained, their music. They are so strong culturally. We are not. We are a mix. We were infiltrated.
Yeah.
But Uganda is also
I
strong
remember
culture.
when we were young, one of the things we used to laugh about Nigerians was their pidgin English.
Yeah.
They don't know how to speak the Queen's English. Today I admire it
Yeah.
because it's unique. Why should they speak a foreign language the way the British speak it?
Right?
It was an imposed language.
Yeah.
And that pidgin English brought out an identity.
For sure.
We don't have it. We struggle, and Ugandans are even worse.
No.
Struggle for the tonations of
I'm
the
going
British
to
English.
defend my people. First of all, I have
So Ogas have this unique
Yeah.
history and heritage, and that's why you feel it in their music,
Yeah.
in their creative. That's why they started Nollywood.
by
They have
the
their own way of bringing out, long before us.
Yeah.
We are Mzungus,
Yeah.
just with black skins.
Yeah.
Then they are the original.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot to
Hey.
learn, admire, and even copy, because that is our heritage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only way we'll get back to our heritage is if we bother to understand, go back in history,
Yeah.
learn who we were before the colonialists came,
Yeah.
what we were about, where we have come from, and create our identity. Kenya has that big problem.
Yeah.
We don't have what you call a Kenyan identity.
Yeah.
Western
And if you were to
culture.
do it, what would you say?
What would be there to be proposed?
You know, Ogas, you can say they are united in very many fronts. Their clothing,
Yeah.
their names,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Their food, even their culture, their food, their music. Now, Indians, in as much as they were colonized properly, their religion completely rejected any infiltration by the Brits.
Okay.
So the Brits had to accommodate the Indian. They were the longest colony
Yes.
of the British. Now, the Indian maintained their names. They maintained their clothing, saris.
Yeah.
They
And their
maintained their
religion.
religion, their caste systems, their culture, right? Their food. You can talk about Indian food. Okay?
Yeah.
And thus they've been able to go out and conquer the world,
Yeah.
right?
I hear you.
We are not going to do that without our identity.
So how can we
So
find
who is
that
a Kenyan?
identity?
Yeah, that's the point. So what makes us who we are? So who are we now? Even if you are to say Gen Z, who are we? Who are you?
It's not easy.
What do we like?
Yeah,
No, but
it's
what do you like?
Ugali.
Are we
Ugali, really?
are we
Not Italian pizza.
correct.
I won't lie. After this, guys, we go and catch some
I remember
Chinese
a
food.
politician quoting Gen Z as the ones who are going for KFC and sijui nini and iPhone.
I mean,
Is that a lie though? Is it a lie?
It's
But
not.
KFC is not
not.
okay. So who is a Kenyan? Right.
That's a hard
No,
question.
but you can try. You can start saying that we like education.
I'm a school
No, we have
dropout.
up to no, even if you're but generally
But
we like
yeah.
we
Yes,
like
yes,
education.
yes.
Napenda
Even
kusoma.
even if you don't go to Masomo Fomo, you read.
For sure.
You'll
Yes.
do something.
There's something
Yeah.
going on in your
All
brain.
right. Are we clubbable? Are we friendly? Are we
Yeah.
welcoming?
No.
Yeah.
We're friendly.
We are friendly.
According to
Kenyans
Uganda,
are friendly.
no,
We're
the
just
best,
not-
Ugandans are more
the best,
friendly.
let me tell you, the best identity of yourself is how others look at you.
Yeah.
So don't say no.
Wow.
Listen to her.
We're not
I
friendly.
feel
Yeah.
like the first thing
You
you
don't
should
feel
say
welcome.
is
Yes.
Kenyans are strong-hearted. You have strong.
There you go. Now we are going to identity.
That's literally, you should know
It's
that
admirable,
because
eh?
it's very admirable because
Okay.
you can wake up and tell Kenyans, let's go on the streets, we're going to fight this, and they're going to come.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're having they're going to come and be like, what's going on? Ugandans, miss me. I'm going
Okay.
to pass on the side. I want my peace. You get Kenyans have strong hearts. That should be the first trait. Then maybe go to others like education. They are westernized, but they're still, they are the cuter version of the westernized people. They do the challenges. They are very creative as well. So I feel like we can't dwell on the past. Yes, it's happened.
No, but who are we?
we
who are
find a
we?
new.
Who are we? Who are Ugandans? I'm telling you, there are places you go in Africa and people say Kenyans are arrogant for nothing. They're just arrogant people.
They just don't know us.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? Even they have no money, but they're arrogant.
Yeah.
Kenya's like, so
Yeah.
who are we? Right? We must be identified for something, right? That is marketable. Okay? Right?
Right.
We must be beyond our borders. It's not just ours. Right? If you are describing a Frenchman, an American, a Muzungu, right? It's very easy to describe who they are. Right? Who are we?
Yeah. But I think the issue with us is also we don't support our own. Those countries that you've mentioned, India, those are people like they have banks for themselves. They lend out to each other. Nigeria as well, when it comes to even the
music industry
culture, the
first.
music industry, they support each other
Yeah.
heavily. But I feel like when it comes to us as Kenyans, there's
Disconnect.
yes.
Okay,
when
so
it comes
tell me, what is our music about? I will give you a paradigm. Yeah. Lingala,
yes.
right? Which is an
Kalala.
identity of Congo.
Yeah, music.
Right? What is the music about?
What is Lingala about?
Right. Most of it is about relations, love.
Oh yes,
Family.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
It's about that.
Yes.
Family relations, family squabbles, love,
Yes.
relationships. They've identified because it's a core issue to them.
Yes.
And if you go into the history of that, that's another long story, which
Yeah.
I'll give you another day. Now, so what is our music about?
It's shifted so many times.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Yeah.
When it needs to come from somewhere for us to own it.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Can the concept of the East African Federation? So do you think it can come to life? I feel like, can we have our own currency? Can that be our niche? Can that be our special aspect? Since we were colonized and we failed to find our roots, yes. So can't we do something and, put consideration in the East African Federation and have one currency? And, it's going to be unique and it's going to obviously increase numbers, increase the products we put out there, increase the fact that we'll all be economically, better if we all
It's
join.
a phenomenal goal.
Yeah.
I can assure you of that. It's a phenomenal goal. I want you to understand there are a lot of barriers to it. because there's feelings in certain countries that there are disparities of economies because of political choices.
Yeah.
Like Tanzania says, for example, that they sacrificed for the rest of Africa, right? Whereas Kenya opened up to the Mzungu. Yeah. You know, there was a time, for example, British Airways could not fly from London to Cape Town direct. Okay? It couldn't. It needed a stopover. And because it supported apartheid, right? It needed a place. And where the whole of East Africa said no, Kenya ended up saying yes during Jomo Kenya's time.
Yeah.
So you find now Tanzanians say tourism boomed more in Kenya because of things like that, whereas they sacrificed for the freedom of South Africa. So you have some very fundamental things in history.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
So do you
you must know history to understand where we are today.
Yeah.
So you'll find that federation, the biggest party that comes to the party is Kenya. It has the most money.
Yeah.
And they'll demand they got a higher GDP.
Yeah.
They'll demand a bigger stake of that federation. And you have major issues when you come to the table. Okay? Because people will see it as to Kenya's advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tanzanians, for example, not as bad as Ugandans. Tanzanians, you see, these Kenyans want to come and gobble us up.
Yeah.
Now that we have got a lot of mineral resources and all these things, they're going to come and gobble up us. Because we have advantages,
Yeah.
right? We know capitalism before them. We
Because
opened up very many things. Yes.
you opened up to the white people.
Yes. Not only white people, even our model was different to theirs. They went socialism, we went
Communism.
capitalism.
Yeah.
So we have different models, all right, that have given us an advantage. So you find that union is good on paper.
But on ground,
In fact, I like the Africa one. I don't know whether you've read Agenda 2063 of Africa.
I've heard of
Yeah,
it.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Now that is a milestone, and they have some very key issues there that are easy to achieve. Okay? For example, open skies. Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We must make travel around this continent very cheap for everybody.
Yeah,
Why is it so
visa-free.
expensive?
That's the
I
point,
don't
because we
understand.
don't have open skies. Open skies is Europe.
Yeah.
Europe, to go from one country to another, $10, $20, $50.
Gone.
Right?
You're in another country in
Yeah.
Europe. We need to be able to reach that level, because then you have markets. Sub-Saharan Africa alone is 1 billion people. You imagine if you had access to that market
Right.
for your
Be top.
creativity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you need to go and market. You need to, So they need to feel you. They need to see you.
Yeah.
So things like open skies are an agenda that should be achieved. Those are achievable agendas.
Yeah.
Our free trade, in other words, our tax-free trade
Yes.
is
In Africa.
another
Yeah.
in Africa under Agenda 2063. So there are some things there that are tangible.
Yeah.
Okay, this federation business. let's talk about Africa
Instead of East Africa. Okay.
instead of East Africa. It's a
Yeah.
much bigger market.
It is. And the free, it's actually a very
Open
good
skies.
concept.
You imagine
Open
if you could
skies.
go to Ogaland for $50.
Yeah, going to Malawi for
$100,
breakfast.
$200, you're there. Yeah.
I'm not really conversant with how economics work, but I would be tempted to ask you this. Don't you feel like these problems that we'd have as a federation is a bit smaller than stretching it all the way to Africa? Because if we cannot agree, the four of us, how would the 100 of us agree?
And we
I'll tell
don't
you why.
trust each
Because
other.
we don't have the same neighborly. Your neighbor can be also your biggest enemy.
For sure.
Because
Most of the time,
you have
actually.
grown. Yeah. You may be received outside better
Yeah,
than
at
your
home.
neighbor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Okay.
if that is allowed, South Africa is going to feel like it's carrying the whole Africa on its back. They have that ideology of the greatest South African.
Yeah, the
Free
richest country
in Africa. So they're going to feel like the
But they have serious problems. They have a big debt problem. I think they're going to reach what you call their suddenly moment like us. Yeah, suddenly means a crash.
Yeah.
They're in big problems. And they also have a human resource problem.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because they have not adjusted, from apartheid in many, many ways.
Yeah.
and they are still trying to seek some economic freedom and empowerment. And the owners of capital are still the apartheid oligarchs.
Yeah.
All right.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So it's, we are all at different stages.
Yeah.
So when you say take advantage, I mean, that is a country that has got foreign exchange controls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You cannot remove dollars from the bank and go out. Dollars.
You cannot.
So
Where you
here
going?
the point I'm trying to make
Yes.
is that you can see even our markets
Yeah.
and our institutions have become more developed. So I'm not worried about South Africa. I think it would be a great
Deal for them.
empowerment for
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
And it's good they come in, but the advantage across the continent. Yeah.
Everyone
a
wins.
Kenyan will get up and go and work.
Yeah.
Others want to sleep in Uganda and want things to come to them, right? And they'll come to them because
Yeah.
you're resource
Satisfied.
rich. You have food, you have people, you have resource rich, right? So you find people want to come there. Here, people will go out. So we have different. Our human capital is so diverse.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great thing.
Yeah, human
It's
capital
a
is
great
actually
thing if we can put it all together to work as one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you will not believe it. You will not believe it.
Yeah.
There are presidents in Africa I met who tell me that you can see this rose on my desk. Huh?
Yes.
It came from Kenya, but it came via Netherlands.
Oh, we export to them and then they go and buy from there.
The auction is in the Netherlands, then it goes there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that.
In South Africa, Kenyan tea is more expensive than Twinings from the UK. Did you know that?
Are you serious?
Yeah. And Twinings from the UK, do the UK produce tea?
No.
So why is it more expensive than Kenyan Ketepa there? Tariff barriers that have never been removed since apartheid to boost the Mzungu against the African
Yes.
who produces tea. Yes.
Interesting.
So there are so many things that we need to remove
Yeah.
out of these tax barriers,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
will benefit everybody.
So I feel like there's been a history of silent billionaires in our country.
In Africa. Or Kenya.
Kenya. Let's speak on Kenya first. There's silent billionaires all over the place. Is there? What's the best kept secrets of wealth building when it comes to? Because I see a lot of people out here. They have money. You buildings being put up left, right, and center in Lavington, in Westlands, and everyone's like, "Hey, Inia, hey, Inia."
That's a 6 million.
How
6
do
trillion.
is there like
Yeah,
is there well that's where it's coming from.
That's where
Is
it's
there like a secret to it that we don't have access to? Or?
No. Okay, so remove the looters.
Yes.
Because a lot of what you're seeing in Nairobi over the last 10 years is laundry of looters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who've been in government positions. So remove the looters and go back to traditional wealth building. That is here.
Yeah.
I remember when I moved my offices to Westlands, I think there were about 6 buildings that were more than 5 stories. And you could literally tell, this was 2004,
Yeah.
2003. You could literally tell who owns what.
Yeah.
That one is owned by so-and-so, that one by so-and-so. Now you don't know, there's so many.
Yeah.
But the real wealth is not what you're just seeing. There's
Yes.
nothing. I used to know of a very wealthy man from Kiambu who used to have a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
And he had a very interesting, we used to share a bank together when I started working, Middle East Bank. And every Friday, just like me, I would go there those days you had to go to the bank to get some cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd go to get cash for the weekend or the week that I need from my pocket. And this guy would come in a pickup brought by his son, right? And he had a set amount. Mine now is varied. He had a set amount that he wanted. That time it was 100,000, which was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't come back until the next week. And every time I was sitting there with the manager, they would run out to greet this guy. Okay? So one time I asked, so they told me his name. I said, And he said, that's the largest depositor in our bank. Now, I want you to imagine this is in the 90s.
Okay.
Okay? So I said, what do you mean largest depositor? He says, I think he has about 5 billion shillings deposit in the bank at that time.
Wow.
And he came to the bank in a pickup driven by his son.
Okay.
No Ferrari.
Not Ferrari.
Okay? Not his land assets,
Yeah.
just cash.
Cash.
There are a lot of people like that. Those are the silent billionaires you're talking about.
Yes.
They are here.
Yeah.
There are people who have wealth beyond 100 billion shillings that is not stolen.
And what's the trick to that?
Yeah.
The trick is long term, right? Seize your opportunities. Do it. Play the long game. So you must see your future beyond yourself. So it's not the flash.
Yeah.
You guys are too into
extended gratification.
It's not about you. It's beyond you.
It's beyond.
So once you give the money to the tax money to the people for them to be able to
grow it,
use
they
themselves,
understand it.
Will this now be something that there'll be an increase in this?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There'll be huge wealth creation.
Yeah.
It's
huge.
Yeah.
The untapped potential. In fact, my biggest fear is what you call overheating. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a problem here of overheating.
Yeah.
It'll be growing so fast, it's unmanageable. So you have to introduce instruments that
slow it
will
down.
slow it down. Yeah. People here will not even worry about money. You will not even care who has what.
Yeah.
You will have it yourself.
You won't even
So
And you'll be so
you.
busy working. You won't care about somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that
you feel so anxious to wake up in the morning because you're missing out on opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah? Great way to live, eh?
I can't
Because-
wait.
Yeah, it even helps the content creation sector where a person will be like, let me just go borrow this money, buy a phone. In 1 year, I'll pay it back.
Exactly.
So I feel like
Not only a phone, people will be getting studios. They'll be doing wonders. Mobile studios.
Preach.
They'll be doing wonders, and they'll be traveling beyond the borders and creating stories from the nooks and crannies of Africa.
Yeah.
So that is the potential.
and Kenya has great potential.
Not only Kenya, this continent.
Africa.
This is the continent of Nollywood.
Yeah, but I feel like Kenya
And Nollywood came before Bollywood.
you're closer to winning than all of us because you have political freedom.
Correct.
So you're closer
But
to
will be a catalyst.
yeah.
Because you'll be seeing Kenyan or Gen Z equivalent, and you'll be saying, no way.
And
I can. Why next door are they doing these things, and us we are still in the dark ages? You won't let it happen. You'll stand up. No, have faith in yourself. It will come.
Okay, let me have
What happens in Kenya is going to open up a lot of Africa in terms of thinking, in terms of ideas, in terms of the way forward. Yes, it will for the next 60 years.
But it took a lot of bloodshed.
And it will, yes, but we are the ones who led it.
Yeah.
Right? We've taken probably the most bloodshed. Other countries will just fall.
Exactly.
No, I'm telling you, they'll fall. They will fall. Legacy is over. It's the next 60 years. And the greatest challenge is to educate you guys, not just about your internal problems, but how much the rest of the world has tampered with your internal futures.
Yes.
And how you must now learn to conquer them, not them continually conquer you. For example, just to give you one example, is this whole thing about green energy and climate change and so on. So the West has been pushing this agenda of changing the energy from fossil fuels to green energy.
Yeah.
Primarily because they want to get away from the Middle East oil thing and terrorism and Muslims and all these things. But they believe they brought out a scientific case to say that we're overheating. And as I told you, the Mzungu operates on survival.
Yeah.
Then they measure overheating by Greenland ice melting and Iceland melting. And the hurricanes that are coming to their lives, they can see they can get wiped out with all that melting, tsunami, everything. They see danger. So their survival is driving that cause, right? Now, 45% of green energy resource is on this continent. 45%. Kenya is probably the largest for geothermal, solar, you can even add in water and wind. We have potential of something like 500,000 megawatts. Now, just to give you a context of those numbers, we only have less than 3,000 megawatts that are produced today of power.
Wow.
Yeah, we're a banana republic. We just pretend we are great. So 3,000 megawatts. We have potential of 500,000. Now, green energy, as envisaged, is going to run what you call hydro energy. It's going to run the world. It will run ships. It will run cars. It will run your industries.
Yeah.
Right? It's liquid. To run your home, you just put a gadget no more than this that will power your home.
Okay.
Okay?
That's
Now,
amazing.
Kenya is actually, I think, one of the largest because we have the infrastructure. We have probably better than Namibia. Now, if Africa has 45%, okay, because you also need nickel for batteries, that's Congo, where you're seeing cobalt, all those things. That's why they are on to Congo.
Okay.
Now, if we are 45%, it means we have a second wave of colonization coming. That's what you need to understand. The first colonization was about coming and extracting from us because they had finished their own selves and had fought too much.
Yes.
So they said, we found some ignorant people, black people.
Tufike hapo.
But the place has got rich. It's rich.
Yeah.
It has gold. It has rain. We can grow our crops, spices, coffee, tea. That's why they came.
Yeah.
To extract and exploit from us.
Yes.
The next one is this, again, for their survival. So you guys have a choice. You're either going to be the slaves we have been for the last 100 years or so since colonization.
Yeah.
Here we were colonized in 1920. Right? Or you're going to be the owners.
Going to learn from our mistakes.
No, you're going to be the owners. Which means that you colonize them.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you want. How driven you are. And if you seize this opportunity with the right leadership, then you are laughing. You will conquer them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because they need you.
They do.
Man, but
And you will be in charge.
as Africans, we're battling.
Alone,
Yeah.
We're battling internally, we're battling outside.
yeah.
That's what our makeup is.
That's what they
That's what
did.
colonization
I'm already
did.
tired.
Yeah. It said, let us divide them. They will fight and then we shall conquer.
Yeah.
That's actually,
Yeah.
wow.
Eh.
Sasa tufanye nini? Now give us core ground solutions. You've really gone into the science, the economy, the haptics. Now be like,
What
you
do
know
we
what,
do?
Gen Z fanyeni aje.
Political-
Round hii msipe huyu kura mnipe mimi. Huyu anawestia time. Wacheni kufanya hivi.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's why it is beyond criticizing a regime. It is what is happening after.
Yes.
Yes. Where do you see your future after you remove a regime? It must be very clear about these issues.
Yeah.
We don't just take them out, but we're not
don't-
going anywhere.
Yeah, because you
Okay.
put the same legacy politician. You're the same thing.
Kweli.
You put somebody who thinks like Ruto, what difference does it make?
Different body.
That's all.
And what's the
guess-
duration of this change? Let me just ask what people will ask.
Oh, let me tell you, because especially like now, interesting, what happens in Africa has always something to do with the world, right?
Yes.
So you'll find we were colonized, right? Towards the period of the World War,
Yeah.
right? Second World War. Now, after that, right, we got our independence. If you look at all our countries that got independence, it was the end of the Cold War, right? So after World War, the next stage was the Cold War between two different economic models, communism and capitalism, the West and the East. And they began a Cold War. That became our independence, primarily because they didn't want Russia to come and remove us from colonization. Then we would become a communist state. So the West freed us, okay?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones on the table,
Yeah.
and made us adopt their way. Then we had what you call multi-partism, the freeing of our political rights. That was the end of the Cold War. Look at the period when people like Mobutu of Zaire were removed. All these people who had been built by the same West to be their capitalists and dictators were removed. Moi here started having problems. That change came when it was the end of the Cold War, right? So make sure Africans now know democracy so they can look at themselves, fight against themselves while we build ourselves. Because now we are no longer fighting the Cold War, right? Now we need to build our institutions. The World Bank, all those institutions came at the end of the Cold War, right? So they now decided to build themselves. Okay? What period are we at now? These are people who've seen survival of COVID as a problem. They died more than us.
Yeah.
So don't think they take for granted the sun we get.
Yeah.
They would love to live here.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't know how they'll be ever accommodated, right?
Yes.
They are now going through what they believe is a survival threat of their time, the environment, right? And we are the greatest resource. So this change is happening now.
Yeah.
Now, it will be in your lifetime.
Yeah.
The choices are yourselves.
Yeah.
You understand? You guys,
Yeah.
the choices are yours.
I think
You're
his
either going to be
question-
slaves or masters.
Yeah. His question.
And you have the greatest opportunity. Greatest, I can tell you, to conquer the world. The greatest. In fact, Donald Trump is one of the greatest additions you can think of. Because he's already starting to blow them up. Yes. He's removing what you call the deep state of America, deep state of Europe, because it stems from there.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, America was Anglophone, Anglo-based. It was the Mzungu that went there and created the system from Europe.
Yeah.
So he's removing the deep state of Europe and upsetting this. As they are busy doing that, we ourselves should be busy
Yeah.
forming our template,
Get out. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Of commonality, of ideology,
Yeah.
preparing to conquer.
Yes.
Do you and him have a similar ideology because of the business background, or is it totally different?
I see a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially, you see, what he's doing in America, a lot of people are not understanding, but he has understood what you call the entrenchment of this system
Okay.
that comes to rulers and governors. And it has happened in America and Europe for a century or so.
Yeah.
All right? Now he's blowing it up. Okay? He's blowing it up.
Yes.
Right? And creating what he believes is a survival of America beyond the system, because he's saying the way it's going is a declining empire.
Yeah.
So he's blowing it up. He's removing the deep state.
Yeah.
And there I agree with him.
Yeah.
Even here, that's the one thing. You have to remove the deep state.
Yes.
And why he's able to do that is because he was not from the political establishment.
Okay.
He was a businessman.
Yes.
He never grew up in that political establishment. He owes nobody any favors. He was not inculcated. He's not a legend politician.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
He came from the business world. And he knows it and understands it. And he's blowing it up.
Yes.
That's where I come from.
All right.
I will blow it up.
Ring the bell.
Absolutely, blow it up. Yeah. And that's what the status quo people don't like to hear.
Yeah. That's true.
So I'm a nightmare to them.
Yeah. So you think, how long is it going to take for Kenyans to see a difference once you reach power, God willing?
Once you're in power.
Once you're in power, how long is it going to take for them to actually
Dynamic
feel?
impact
Yes.
for majority of Kenyans?
Yeah.
It won't even take 18 months.
When, can I come?
Really?
Yeah.
And now let me ask, in the event that ina sasa inakuwa stories za jaba and you don't
No, they're
get
not stories
to do
of
it.
jaba.
Sikiza kwanza. No, listen first.
It's about
listen
courage.
first.
No, it's
Listen
about
first.
courage.
Fine. But I'm not saying when, I'm saying if this is possibility.
Yes.
In the event it
Like,
goes left.
doesn't.
What should we hold you accountable na tukule lawama na tuingie street
No,
tena?
if it goes left, I will leave office.
Say that again.
I will leave office.
Thank
Because it means then I can't solve the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why am I postponing the pain?
you. Okay, thank you.
Why am I postponing the pain? Why would I postpone the pain?
Wait, you
That's
can
what
leave
William
office?
Ruto is doing today.
Wow.
He's postponing pain. He cannot solve our problems.
Yeah.
So he's just postponing our pain.
Badala ya kuishia.
Yes.
18 months.
18 months
Yeah.
it is.
So you
For
can
it to, and I'm saying for it to have a
Yeah.
dynamic impact on majority of Kenyans.
Yes.
Not a few.
Yes.
yeah, preach.
Majorities. 18 months. Yes. And people start feeling, life is
Change.
It has
Life
changed.
is
Imebadilika.
changing.
it's easier. What happened? What used to go on? What devil did we have here?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the Kenyan nuts are
Yeah.
not this expensive.
Everything's expensive.
Ati what is that expensive?
You guys are not this expensive.
No, let me give you an example of expense. So you understand what a deep state is.
Okay.
When Kibaki came to power, I like to tell this story because I hope it, from a business perspective, a business government perspective, you understand how things are done. So when Kibaki got to power, I found a contract for printing of the Kenyan note
Okay.
that was being printed by a company called Delarue. So Delarue had been given just before the election of 2002, sorry, a contract to print for another 10 years, right?
Right.
So it was done without a tender, no nothing, just given. And we'd had a lot of millions were paid off to people of the Moi regime. And I pushed for it to be cancelled. and it was cancelled.
Yeah.
Said, this is now a transparent government. We should have tenders.
Yeah.
So said the Brits, I'm sure I've got the agent. I went, the French approached me. And they compete in Europe. French and British don't really get along biashara-wise.
Yeah.
So I said, good. Now French are printing. So they came and told me, asked me, so what are we tendering at? What is the price De La Rue got? I said they were printing one note for 32 US cents. Okay? And they started laughing. They told me, we'll give it to you at 4 cents US. Right? So I told them 4 cents. So if I put 10, you'll give me 6. They said, yeah. So if I put 20, you'll give me 16. Yes. So I said, perfect, this must go to tender. Because now De La Rue cannot come down. If they do, how far down can they get? So within a short time, because now everyone realizes the tender started being advertised, push. Somebody from the previous regime calls me and says, De La Rue want to come and see you. The boss wants to come. I said, oh, really? Then tell him to come for breakfast in my house tomorrow morning. They said he'll be there. They had a private plane. They came. I actually was saying so that they don't come.
Okay.
But they came.
But they
They showed
came.
up.
Long money.
See, that time I'm a businessman, take note.
Yeah.
I'm not in government, so I can do biashara.
Yeah.
The guy comes and he tells me, Jimmy, you've been unable to stop us. You've able to stop us. We've been here since 1968 and nobody has removed us. Right?
Yes.
But you've done successfully. We want to give you a small commission, but it's the highest commission we give anybody. Just accept and let's move on. So I said, what are you giving me? They said 5%. 5%. So I did my calculation on 32 cents. So I said 1.5 cents. But you see, with the French, even if I go to 10, Nico na 6.
Yeah.
I told them, no. These are transparent government. We want tenders. And that's where businessmen, competition brings out the best.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Yeah.
Later that evening, he comes back, very disappointed. He comes back with the same guy who brought him. Tells me, Jimmy, let me have a candid discussion with you. And he asked that man to leave. He says, you see, since independence, we've been here. And he gave me the different company names. And he tells me every time we signed for the head of state agent. We signed with the agent of the governor, agent of the Minister of Finance, agent of the Attorney General, agent of the British ambassador. And as long as they're alive, we carry them, even if they're not in office. So any successor regime that signs a contract, we do the same for each party. So this cost is loaded with all those people. Frank, are you understanding me?
Yeah, I'm getting you.
It's called extraction.
Yeah.
Taught by the Mzungu who came here to extract from us.
Oh my God.
All right? So he can't reduce the price because if you don't carry these people, they will leak on everybody else and create competition and create problems. So they carry. So they say, now you're upsetting this thing. Do you know, I couldn't believe the fight that came after that. So you understand what stepping on a snake is if you don't get the head. Okay.
Yes.
But fortunately, made sure they were never given we never went to tender. Made sure they were never given a contract, but they kept getting LPOs and they continued until recently when Ruto has now changed all that. By the time Uhuru left, it had gone to 38 cents. So you can see how many more people were accommodated.
A lot more.
In fact, the new currency went to 42 US cents.
What?
And now I think he's given the Germans at 46. And he's himself now because he's kicked out that company.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand that that cost of making that money is a cost to your life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
It comes to your cost of living.
Yeah.
So when you look at our industry and you say 80% of it is controlled by who? By the Mzungu and the Muindi.
Yeah.
And what was the mentality? Exploit and extract.
Exactly.
After all, these countries are not safe. You must package something that goes to a safe haven.
Yes.
So when they go and ask for a loan, they pack it with that extraction. They want 100 shillings, they ask for 125 because 25 will be extraction.
Yeah.
Right? To take to their safe haven. When they price to you, they add another 25. Cost of living because they are extracting. Are we together, Frank?
So
So when you're buying anything, you're paying a cost for extraction and exploitation. So cost of living is high.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. So if Frank is the manufacturer, he will not price at their price.
yeah.
But if he comes in to compete with them,
Yes.
they'll crash the price because he's coming in at higher cost than they had done. They achieved economies of scale. So you need a cushion. Correct?
Yes.
And we'll give you that cushion. Okay?
You're the
So
cushion.
even
One
if they crash
condition.
the price,
Yes.
even you can push the price.
Yes.
yeah.
You can crash the price. Okay? And you achieve economies of scale and get out. Because your money, when you make it, you're not taking it to Dubai.
Yeah.
You're going to build here.
Yeah.
You're going to build your shopping mall here. You're going to buy a farm here. You're not taking it. Your safe haven is Kenya. And you must have that mentality, by the way. Don't think there's a safe haven in Dubai.
Yeah.
I make money, I want a house in Dubai. What for? Here.
Home.
Here. The most you do, you go to Uganda, you go to Ogaland, you go to Zimbabwe.
You come back.
Zimbabwe has got land like ours.
Yeah.
Huh? Nice people too.
Mi ni mseushi kwa grawa, like on a realistic point of view. I want sita kuuzia facade fulani ya tuko hivi. Mbona politicians hukuwa walafi na do ya serikali na mko na do ready? Shida hukuwa nini?
It's free money. That's
I
why.
get that, but you've already taken 99.9%. Tubakishe ingine. I don't understand that logic. Like, look, I'm not saying fine, go ahead and steal public fund. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, don't take everything. Don't take
a
Take a
lot.
little.
Take enough. A little is also not on the table enough.
But what do they know?
Yeah.
They know how to keep you poor.
Yes.
Plant poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Must keep you asking so that they're important.
Na mbona,
Not questioning
yeah.
so that you disenfranchise them.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Umeshika hiyo?
Nimekungam. Sijui nikuelezea aje. Like
Umenigam kabisa.
nimekungam.
Gen Z.
There's this genre of people when you start, okay, we'll call them the way you wanna put it at as legacy leaders. Sawa. Me I'm talking about ule mse fulani mazee tulikuanga ocha na yeye Moshadha.
Like-
Tukampea kure MCA anataka kuchukua do yote.
But-
Like where's this demonic
but-
spirit after you've seen us living
what
in
is it,
poverty?
what is he
and
taught
still
when
telling-
when he gets on the table?
Oh, so kuna induction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
The
not
first thing he's taught is think of yourself,
okay.
right? Because out there, they are going to demand from you.
Yeah.
So think of yourself. You must empower yourself so you can go and bribe,
And lie to that.
and lie to them. No, and also buy them.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and also buy them.
Okay.
So who is inducting him? He's even told, hata ukifanya development, people don't vote for you on development.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
You have to buy them.
Yes.
Sure.
That's true.
So why
Who
would
is
you vote
inducting
for you
him?
on development? Am I also planning on buying us?
No, I'm going to change your life.
Kali. Kali.
I'm completely going to change your life. Even your worldview
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, already bas.
Yeah. Your whole worldview will change. It's not just bring you a bridge
Yeah.
or promising you sijui hustler fund nonsense. No. No. You start seeing dreams
Yeah.
Yeah.
capable of being actualized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
are things, these are long-term goals in terms of they'll be embedded now and become the new norm. Even after you've already finished your term.
Yes. It's, a-
And
it's
unless-
what you call, you've hit the nail on the
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
You've hit the nail on the head. That is legacy politics.
Yes.
All right? That is what legends are about. Lee Kuan Yew is talked about today because of exactly that. Yeah? Deng of China.
Yeah.
If you ask the Chinese who had the greatest impact on their lives, it's not Mao Zedong who gave them their cultural identity, who they are. They say it was a very vicious thing. Because, before him, they thought they were just slaves, born to be slaves to empires. So Mao Zedong changed that. And then Deng comes in and he says, economic revolution. I'm going to make sure you are rich.
Yes.
That legacy will last for 400 years.
Yes.
That's what I'm about, yes.
Okay.
That becomes a philosophy, an ideology, a belief, a way of life, long beyond my existence. So what happens in that is that there's no leadership that can change it.
Yes.
You don't have a great leader today and tomorrow there's a bad one. Apana. He tries to be bad. He reaches here, you chase him out. He'll be forced to leave.
Yeah.
Parliament will kick him out. It becomes a norm.
Yeah.
Look at Britain. Britain has the smallest constitution. All right?
Yeah.
But it took Boris, what is it called?
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson to have a kapati during COVID, to remove him. Because there are some acceptable and non-acceptable things.
Even if it's
that's how it will be.
Yeah, okay.
Even government will not be such a big thing. You'll only feel it if it's interfering in your life.
Bas.
Otherwise, it's just something you read every so often.
Another Tuesday.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, nakuelewa kabisa.
Mr. Jimmy, now let's talk family. I'm a very family-oriented person.
Yes,
So you've talked highly about your wife and all that. So tell us.
28 years I've been married.
28 years?
Yes.
How'd you do it?
Wow.
How do you do it?
Convince men like...
I can barely do 5.
You can't even get past an engagement.
Uko na shida?
I've been engaged twice.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Don't get married.
Yes. And off for 5 years. 5
But
years
how
is
are
like
you get engaged and then what? You don't commit to marriage. I know. Why are you afraid of that commitment?
It's not that
So
I'm
are
afraid.
your parents together? Did you
No.
grow up with two parents?
Okay, so my parents were together up until I was 10.
Yeah.
And then they separated, but now they're together. They go back together when I turned 23.
Okay, so your
And I'm 35
adolescent
now.
Yeah, your adolescent period.
Yes.
They were not there.
They were not there.
Okay. I
So I
see what
grew up
you
with that
understand why you're here. Yeah.
So is having
Yeah.
a good...
So a woman that comes into your life needs to
Yeah.
understand that. And she'll give you the right confidence.
But the
for you
women
to
have
make
been
com-
lawyers. I think they
But they're so
understood
busy.
that.
They're so busy into themselves. They don't.
Jimmy, excuse me. So I stopped my life. Because I had a bad adolescence.
No, but you see,
Yeah.
he is a catch. He's an investment. And you must do your homework.
Vote.
Mr.
Jimmy
Jimmy,
Wanjigi
you don't do
2027.
Mr. Jimmy, don't do this to
You
us.
understand?
Mr. Jimmy, don't do this to us.
Okay.
How many francs are there?
Tell me.
Don't do this to his
How many kalalas are there?
Like anything you want, you must do some homework.
How many kalalas are there? How many
Kisa.
Christians are there? How
If
many?
you get women that are not interested in knowing who you are,
Yes.
move on.
Aye.
And unfortunately, our women are, I guess it's women nature. You're
Yes.
into yourselves more than,
I think
just the way you
Kenyan
are.
women,
It's
Kenyan
the way it
women.
is.
It's the way you
Kenyan
are. You're
women.
into yourselves more than
Ugandan
your
women are
partners.
better.
So you
No,
want
in
us
fact,
to
if a man talks too much about themselves, to women here, you're a whiner.
Yeah.
Really?
It's a turn off.
You're a weak man. It's
Really?
a turn off. Yeah.
So you think having-
they don't seem to understand. That's how you're going to understand
Yes.
who you have before you, who is your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? Who
Who
raised
are you?
you?
Yeah.
All
And
those
what is the
things.
impact
Yeah.
been
to
telling
how
you
you
guys.
think and feel today?
Okay.
Because it has an impact.
So you think having a good wife has made you what you are right now?
Imperative, yes.
Yes.
You
I've
thi-
been very fortunate.
Oh.
She's been
And I
able to
thank God.
understand you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Through thick and thin.
So how can we tell that's a good wife? Tell Frankie how to see. You already told us.
He
so you
will
just,
know.
Eh.
He will know.
So what are the signs?
Because she'll give him the right confidence. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So if a woman
And
I
I'm
give
not
you-
even getting into why his parents broke up. He knows why.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking him to speak, but he knows why. And it must have created a major vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's vulnerable.
Everybody
Yes.
is. Every human being is.
I need love.
Oh, wow.
Every human being is.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It's understanding. What do you want? Like, what do you want in a husband? If you find them, if you don't understand them.
Yes, son.
Leave.
Yeah.
So these 28 years, you've been wholly there. No picking outside. No, let's see other people. Let's have an
Sasa
open.
now, what
Sema
are you
ndio
asking?
hapana. Ndio hapana.
Unataka kuchoma sasa.
No, because
Buy me and I'll help you out.
No, that's a very bad question.
Whichever
way I answer it, nachomeka. So why do you want me?
You stand
Whichever way,
firm.
yeah. Whichever way I answer it, chomeka. So why do you want me
We
to go there?
release it.
because Frankie says men don't know loyalty. They don't know what
No,
it
I didn't
means.
say that.
You said men don't know one woman for a long time.
No, I said men are polygamous.
He said men are polygamous. So are you an exception?
Monogamy is a flawed concept.
Are you hearing what other
That's
men
what
are
I
saying?
believe.
Ask him why he believes that. If you want to understand,
He's
him.
broken.
No. Ask him. Ask
he
him why he
just label
believes
me
that.
broken?
Because he must be talking from his head now.
It's experience. What I've viewed, what I've seen. Yeah. As a man, I feel like you can share love
Yeah.
to different ladies.
But there's a gentleman right there who has told you he has had
Yeah,
one
but you see,
lady.
that functions for him. And there's a question he's refused to answer.
You know, it's good you go. I like to use a yardage of science.
Yes.
Right? So what is the basis of getting together in God's mind,
Yeah.
in scientific mind? It's procreation.
Children,
Procreation.
Right. That's what sex is about. Right? So a woman can be pregnant once in 9 months, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God.
How many women
Oh God,
can
oh
a
God.
man make pregnant
Oh
in
my
those 9
goodness.
months? How many?
So
A lot.
many.
Right. And the whole basis of God is the further creation
Yes.
of his likeness. Remember, he made us in his likeness.
Likeness, yeah.
Correct?
For sure.
Yes. So why do you limit? That is a conscript that came from where?
Mic drop.
Where did it come from?
Wait, what?
That's a civilization that was exported to us.
Yes.
I first thought I was on your
Is it-
side, but no.
No, I'm talking about history. How we have become is another thing.
Yes.
Eh.
Right. Because in those days, women didn't have those rights, didn't have the knowledge, knew their place.
No, not the what?
Okay. But let me tell you, we come from somewhere. You know, I was talking about the caveman thing earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, the husband that went out, if your husband went out and was killed,
Yes.
how did you feed your kids?
Another man.
Yeah.
How? The other man is your man.
Kevin did have money.
No, remember how they used to sleep in a
Yes.
cave?
Yeah.
Everyone.
So who was the other man who
There's
came
no
home with the
other
nyama?
man,
It
yeah.
was yours.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
she made sure she made herself beautiful for your
For
man
my man, yeah.
to come and get food for her. Right? So do women trust each other with their men?
No.
That is where it began.
Yeah.
We are a genesis of that history. So don't falter. And don't fault Frank.
Please.
There are some roots
Yes.
that do not go away. You would not trust your best friend with your man. Would you go and tell her everything about him, how good he is? Yes or no?
That's advertising.
Yes or no? Because you know exactly what her instincts will be.
You'll be advertising.
You know what her
about
instincts
you.
would. Where did she get those instincts from? Survival. Yes.
So, Mr. Jimmy, not to put your point aside, but you have spoken so highly. Like, you didn't tell us, how did you meet your wife? Sorry, how did you meet your wife?
At a birthday party of a friend. Can you imagine?
So, how did you write the love letter?
No, at that point, we had actually started our mobile phones. We used to have the bigger ones. They were not like this. And
That was back in what year?
I married in 98.
So you had a mobile
97
phone back
actually.
then.
Yeah.
Do you know how expensive mobile phones
Yeah,
were?
they were very expensive. And they weren't very many.
They were big.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So we didn't do love. I just knew she was my wife.
You just
I was
knew.
introduced to her by her sister.
Oh.
Yeah. And I knew, in fact, I told my friend, because we were with the birthday boy together, I said, I found my wife. I've seen my wife today. It was instant.
Yeah.
You knew.
And we went out 2 or 3 days later. And that's it. I even told her, you're my wife. And she was shaking. She was much younger than I was. She was 22 at the time. I said, you're my wife. I found my wife. And that was it. 3 months I engaged her. Yeah.
Wow.
And I married her within a year.
Is it like a butterfly?
God was great. I was not wrong.
That's true. That's
Is it a
true.
butterfly feeling or a headache, or like when you see them unapata goosebumps, unasikia the
It can't be
inafeel
goosebumps.
aje, na unafeel
You know
aje
your
wa-
gut.
Yeah.
Oh, hiyo kitu fulani ya
Yeah.
It's a drop.
Hapa.
I've got that twice.
No, you haven't gotten it.
You sure?
And if you have, you've doubted it. That's why you didn't continue.
Oh.
Yeah.
And is a wife
Don't
a one
doubt your
thing-
gut.
Don't doubt chorus.
Don't doubt your gut. If your gut is right, then you work on your fears.
Okay.
You don't let your fears destroy your gut. You work on your fears.
Is there a difference between the love of your life and your true love?
She is my true love.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lord,
She's the
I
love
saw
of my
you
life
doing
and
for
my
her
true
that.
love. That she is.
All in one.
Yeah. I don't know what life would be without her. I mean, that I don't even
I
fathom.
wonder if a guy is saying that about me.
I don't. think so.
And I
Crazy,
I selfishly wish I leave this world before her, because I don't know
Oh
what
my
it would
God.
be like
Without.
without her. Yeah,
I just think
And I'd
you're
like to
raised
go before her.
well.
like her to live longer.
I think the key word is to date men from families that they were raised with their mother and father.
And
very
then what
important.
about us?
No, it's important, but unfortunately, we have a big crisis. I know in this country, I don't know about Uganda, but we have a very big crisis here of single mothers.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are producing now almost, I think 60% of the births. And they are 75% of the people who are in prison are from single mothers. So we need to,
75%?
Yeah.
That's a very high
It's a very
percentage.
high number. We need to really start addressing it as a society. We must cushion them. You know, mothers they have to work, bring up their kids. They have to do this. I mean, they have to be a father at the same time. The church doesn't even have counseling enough for them. They talk about counseling for married couples, but not them. It's a whole societal problem. In fact, not problem. It's a challenge, but we can overcome it.
But what about the alternative in terms of
why is that happening, first of all?
Fathers who are now single fathers.
Yeah.
What's the outcome of that? Is that because you're saying single mothers?
It's not as bad as single mothers.
Not as bad as single mothers.
No.
So why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? I know you don't have the answer.
The father figure is a very important feature in a life, especially a teenage boy. Yeah. Very, very important. The father presence is important. So if you have a single mother, you know, it's important at those ages to have a brother, an uncle to your child, someone close to be that father figure, especially in the adolescent years.
Yeah.
It is imperative. Yeah, imperative. That's why they are walking over these young men.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not a lot of strong.
There are not many strong young men.
But then that doesn't explain why there's so many single mothers, though.
Okay. You've asked that question.
Yeah.
I was answering Frank's. Why are there so many single mothers? Too many polygamous fellows like this guy.
It will be your own people. Come back.
Shots fired.
Too many marriage breakups.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big thing. Too many marriage breakups.
Yeah.
Too many lost commitments. So much. And then also you have women who are empowered at 30, and they start getting worried about maternal instinct. They don't want to grow up alone. So they seek it. It's a whole combination of reasons.
Yeah.
But it tells you that we have a lot of strong women.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a compliment.
We have powerful women. Yes. It's a real compliment. Now we just need to manage the product.
Do you think also
their power?
No, we need to manage
Influx.
the product, which is the offspring are a product. So we need to manage them, inculcate them into a form of familyhood. Yeah. Just like we need to manage the kids who are just sent to boarding school. And many of the ones who are sent to boarding school, by the way, are single parents because the parent can't manage.
Yes.
Work and looking after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in boarding
and it has
in
its
nursery.
consequences, you can see. Yeah. And we're not addressing it.
Yeah.
Do you think social media also contributes to this? Because, like, let's say, I'm sure back in your time, the people who you date are within the area that you're in. But now with social media, you feel like you can have a relationship with someone in
It's so huge.
Jamaica. You know, you can literally meet anyone and everyone. There's FaceTime. There's all this stuff. There's an alternative. There's you put up less with someone.
There are less barriers.
Akikuudhi kidogo, you're just like, the grass is greener.
Okay, but what is the purpose of marriage?
I think we've lost the purpose of marriage.
That's the point.
Exactly.
Did you even
And I
know
go
what
back
the
to my
purpose was?
grandfather.
Yeah.
It's about the next generation.
Yes.
It's about your offspring, not yourself.
Preach to the Kenyan men.
Not yourself.
Yeah.
You're not here for yourself, Frank.
Yes.
The minute that becomes your go-to place, you're a wasted person.
Yeah.
Honestly. This thing of that you're living for yourself and for your time here and you don't care about anything.
Yeah.
You think that's why you were put here?
Yeah.
Do you really believe that?
No, you don't believe that, but you've been put in a situation where you have to fend
And
for yourself.
who is making you think that way? If you look at it, it's the same Zungu. I met some Italians a few years ago in Malindi, young generation, and they were their father was a good friend of mine. Was telling me, "Can you just talk to these kids of mine?"
Yeah.
For them, they have a very different concept of life. So he sat down. They said, "We don't believe in property. We don't believe in family. We believe in no commitments. Right?
Yeah.
We just believe in ourselves. We're enjoying life. The only thing we want is adventure. We want to go around different parts of the world.
Yeah.
So one guy says, my backpack has got my, what's that game? 4. What is it called?
PS4.
PS4. He says, people pay me to watch me play.
TikTok.
Right? No, he goes on his head and then
Twitch.
people follow him.
Hey.
Yes. And he says, I mean, I'll go out for 3 hours, I'll earn 10,000 euro.
Crazy.
Okay? I have enough money. Tomorrow I can earn the same. With that money, what do I do with it? I just have a backpack and that thing.
Yeah.
I get onto a plane from Malindi, I'm going to Philippines. Yeah. I see my parents once a year. Either they are here or they're in Italy. But after them, we're all like that. So we will never meet.
Yeah.
Right? We want no attachments into the world. We want no materialism. We want, I don't know.
Yeah.
Where is that thing coming? They don't have children. They don't have future. They don't have generation. They don't see it. Don't
Social
inculcate
media.
those things yourselves.
Okay.
This is why I say they are ripe for conquest. Europe was built by the wealth of this continent, by the sweat of our forefathers.
Yeah.
It's your conquest. They have no population. They don't have religion anymore that they exported here. They don't have those cultural heritage values anymore. They are a generation that just wants to live here
Yeah.
for today. It's your opportunity to seize this and see conquest. Those are lands to take over. Opportunities to exploit. Right? Don't become like them.
Yeah.
They are conquering you. Don't. So stick to some basics. Why are you getting a family? If you believe in God and Christianity or your own spirituality, you know it must be about children.
Yeah.
I've been
You disagree?
Yeah, I've been sitting with somebody who's 51 years who has been married for 10 years, but they were in a marriage where for some reason her and the partner
Did not want
kids.
Yeah.
So what then is the purpose of this
those
marriage?
are unique. Those are unique. And every I mean, you can't have 10 all the same. All right? You'll have those, but those are exceptions to the rule.
Okay.
What is the basis of our union if it does not produce that basis? We are together, we can get children,
But at that,
which shows our love, our investment in tomorrow, and you say we don't do it. So you're here for what?
vibes.
And inshallah.
Which end when you're put 6 feet under? Come on.
And that story
I
ends
mean,
there.
that's a hopeless life. So that, and you get forgotten.
For sure. Because there's nothing to show.
every day.
You're also going to forget the things you've done.
So who do you impart even the heart that you have? Your very comical nature.
Yeah.
Who do you pass it to?
It has to be somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did something to the world, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So you made people smile.
It can't
So
just go
how does it just go?
Kweli, nimeng'am.
Yeah.
Because
So when you start telling me you don't want children, I say, okay, this one doesn't care about tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one just cares about today. Even if I employ you, you won't care about my business tomorrow.
Because there's
Yeah,
nothing to
so
lose.
I'd rather do it in another way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, I've just changed my mind about having kids today. I'm not lying. I'm not actually lying. You may think I'm lying.
Then I've had an impact. And even that impact,
Yeah.
that's
So now,
very big.
you've given me a bigger
I've done God's
picture.
work. I've done God's work.
You've actually given me a bigger picture because I never looked at it like that. I have never looked at it like that. I've looked at it in a way of you're going to give birth, the kids are going to be a burden and stuff, but you're not looking at the fact that you're actually, actually doing your what you're created to do. You're actually
Yes.
giving
Kids are a
life, you're
blessing.
nurturing.
And you're telling everybody you care about tomorrow.
yeah.
Yes. That's what you're doing.
Okay.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we actually had a conversation about the kids thing that we were talking about, and that conversation was about, okay, yes, I was for having children because I already have children, and I usually say my pocket allows me to have
This
4
amount.
children right now. So the more I earn, the more I'll be able to have more kids.
Yes, sir.
So do you actually believe that if you are not financially sound, you shouldn't be having children?
But let's be sincere, Frank. Every child has come with their blessing, correct? Has
Yes.
come with their spoon.
Yes.
Even before
Their
you had the
plate.
spoon for them. Let's just come with the child. Don't worry
Preach.
about finance.
Mm.
Yes.
Are you sure you're not
A way is
speaking?
always open. No, a way is always open. It's always open.
Is he privileged?
No. It always opens. You'll be amazed.
Yeah.
Even making money, all those things, is energy.
Yes.
Okay.
It's energy.
Lakini pia say you're saying we go have kids because it will come with money.
No.
That's not what you're saying.
But no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if your intent is right, your intent is to bring up a child, not to make money, then the money will follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intention.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will follow. It normally does.
Yeah. But I think why you were talking about the 75% of the criminals in prison being from single mothers, I think you should also note to tell people that if you are intending on giving birth, at least know that you have enough finances to have time for that child. Because if you give birth and you say, okay, I've given birth, I've done my work, and you don't have time to raise your child, they're going to end up being among the 75% that is going to end up in jail.
I agree. But this is where a government comes in.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of our finances are premised, even tax laws, are premised on a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 parents. Now, tax laws has a way of making sure you cushion that single mother. Right? Either by not taxing them, or by giving them a stipend, or by allowing, for example, daycare centers. While you're at work, a state provides centers for your child, right, to come up with and be looked after. The church comes in, right, where you have adoption of fathers, for example, or from the congregation. A lot of women are very scared of those things. They think you'll go and have an affair with that single mother.
Right.
But these are things, if you're ethically correct, that help a society do that. But we must accept that it's a problem and a challenge.
It is.
Right? And then we address it. We can't just leave it up to them.
Yeah.
We can't, because, okay, so you don't have money, right? And you don't want to reach 40 without a child, alone. Your maternal instincts, what do you do?
What exactly? What
How do you deny that person just because of what should be very basic to them?
finances?
Yes.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And God has put you here to get those children, and then you don't because of finances. Then it becomes a government's responsibility.
Yeah.
Yes. Create a template that cushions you.
So can you do that in your
Yes,
region?
absolutely. We have a very clear single mothers policy.
Okay.
Very clear.
Is it single
In fact, I
mothers or
started
single
it-
parents?
Single parent mainly, but most of them here are mothers.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's something that we pushed very well in the 2017 campaign with Raila. So it is something now even I've developed a lot more than that. It wasn't even mine. It was brought to the table. That's when we learned
Yeah.
the problems. But we've advanced it since then. And yeah, there are ways of doing these things.
Yeah.
You know, tax policies and policies of our government have been used to even create more children or less children.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go beyond 2, then we're going to increase taxes for you, so people know.
Don't do that here.
If you go beyond 2, we reduce taxes so you get more.
Yeah.
Right? They are totally tax-free.
I'll be tax free.
So this is where government comes in. And you can do the same with a single mother. Single
Yes.
parent.
That's
Yes.
true. That's
yes,
definitely
cushion them.
true.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to live here now.
Please
In your regime.
change your citizenship.
Now you understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
That you must talk about what after.
Yeah, but
Now you understand now?
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it's your regime, I'm coming.
Yes.
Wait, I'll
No,
be
you're going to
here.
help me in the campaign, I thought.
Yeah,
I thought
Nati,
we were
I'm
going to be
Yes.
appearing together.
Okay.
what's going on?
And yes, I know. There we go.
We're going to be appearing together. And I have very nice dresses.
You'll take the mic on the podium, people will go crazy.
I feel like, are you guys going to vote?
Anasema squisha. Yeah, that's it. Asanteni sana.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. We have had an amazing
I'm
time.
sweating. Extra pressure.
Nikupatia pressure.
Deadly. For truth?
No lie.